Good morning and welcome to today's Board of Commissioners meeting this April 8th, 2025. I'm pleased that today we have Rabbi Dorch of Congregation Esheim. He will be providing our invocation. That will be followed by the pledge. Good morning. And that will be brought by Firefighter 3, Jan Fox of Station 14 A Shift. For those of you willing and able, please stand for both our invocation and our pledge.
Before we pray together, I just want to very quickly note that I'm here this morning celebrating the 50th anniversary of our congregation. And I hope you won't mind a brief humble brag when I say that Rabbi Lewis, when my predecessor arrived in Cobb 50 years ago, we were the first Jewish congregation outside of the perimeter, anywhere in Atlanta. And if you think about it, in those days, there were maybe a few dozen Jewish families. The Goldsteins were certainly here. There was no synagogue in town. Nary a Hanukkah decoration to be found anywhere in Cobb County. Well, 50 years later, not only are there a few Hanukkah decorations, but we maintain our role as the largest and most stalwart congregation in the county. We're proudly home to civic leaders like former Cobb County Chairman Sam Olens, and other Jews who give their time to civic associations, as well as a younger generation of Jews who are dedicating themselves to public service. And here today with me is Joseph Goldstein, who not only serves as a city councilman in Marietta, but only a week or so ago became engaged to the daughter of another member of our congregation.
Now the whole world knows.
Speaks to the no pressure, Joseph, I was going to say. Anyway, it speaks to the very deep Jewish roots in Cobb County, what we've called our home for 50 years, and we no doubt will continue to have as our home for many years. So let us pray together this morning. Our God and God of our ancestors, we thank you for the gift of this Cobb County that for this 50 years and even more has granted blessing not only upon the Jewish community, but all of its citizens here today. We thank you for the gift of this commission and its members who understand their sacred duty to ensure freedom of religion and safety of worship for all its citizens, carrying forth the responsibility to wipe out all hatred and bigotry, and who by doing so ensure that this is a county that continues to prosper. And in this continued time of turmoil in the world, we thank you, dear God, for the gift of all of our first responders, our police, our firefighters, and others who work tirelessly to protect our communities of faith alongside all of the citizens of this great county, so we can all worship the God whom we choose in freedom and security. And lastly, on the occasion of our auspicious anniversary, may all of us here today reflect on the words of our common scripture, Eitz Chaim hi lamachazim kimba v'tom chaya meushar. Our tradition teaches Eitz Chaim hi, that it is a tree of life to all of those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are blessed. The name of our synagogue, Eitz Chaim, means tree of life. So may we in this room be counted among the supporters of our tree, this Cobb County. May all of us, by holding fast to this wonderful place, continue to nurture it, watch it grow and blossom, so that we may too in turn be blessed. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rabbi Dorch and Firefighter Fox. Before we get started, I thought that we would calibrate our meetings by reviewing our county mission and vision statements here, as this was the construct that we worked on a couple of years ago to determine how we would come together and move forward as a county. And so I thought that it would be wise to have this at the top of our meetings for continuing reminder that our mission here and the work that we do is to make Cobb County the best place to live through through an efficient, effective, and responsive government that delivers quality services. Our vision is for our county to be a thriving, innovative, and safe community that enhances quality of life for the well-being of all of our citizens. And we do this through core values of commitment, diversity, integrity, and teamwork. And this is the spirit of which we are serving here today. With that, I'll call our meeting to order and acknowledge that we have a number of presentations before you. The first one is to provide a presentation for a proclamation designating April 6th through 12th as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Cobb County. For those of you who are here as a part of that presentation, I ask that you please join your commissioner up front.
Bro, you made me sit in my seat.
You want to hop back here and do this one?
He has to be in the back. You're so tall.
I hear you.
You can tell that Rose is pretty experienced with taking photos. She knew exactly where to come and sit. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Rose. Okay. Whereas crime affects individuals, families, and communities in profound and varied ways, often leaving lasting physical, emotional, and social challenges. And whereas this year's theme of kinship is a call to action to recognize that shared humanity should be at the center of supporting all survivors and victims of crime. The concept of kinship underscores the connections that build bridges to support services and shared strength among survivors, advocates, and communities. And whereas kinship is the foundation of victim advocacy, inspiring trauma-informed care that meets survivors where they are. Through kinship, we build peer networks and community alliances that empower survivors, foster resilience, and offer pathways to healing. And whereas kinship reminds us of the strength that comes from connection, the importance of listening to every voice, and the power we possess to create lasting change when we work together. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as Crime Victims' Rights Week in Cobb. This reaffirms our dedication to building connections, standing in kinship with survivors, and creating a future where healing and hope are within reach for everyone. This, the 8th day of April, 2025.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's for me. I would like to thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of District Attorney Sonia Allen and the Cobb County District Attorney's Office, I want to sincerely thank you for this important proclamation. As a Director of Victim Services, it is both an honor and privilege to stand here before you on behalf of our entire team. The recognition reaffirms our shared commitment to standing with survivors, seeking justice, and continue the work of advocacy, healing, and hope. We are grateful for your continued support and partnership as we strive to serve every victim with compassion, dignity, and respect. Thank you again for this meaningful acknowledgement. We look forward to continue our work together to make Cobb County a safer, more just community for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is anyone else want to share some words? Anyone else? Rose, do you have a few words that you'd like to share? No? Okay, all right, then I guess we'll take our photo.
All right, the lens is just wide enough. All right. Here we go. 3, 2. Somebody's blinking. 1, and got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for your work in serving and helping those who've been impacted by crime here in Cobb County. Our second proclamation is to designate April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day. I would ask for the commissioner to please join those who are part of this presentation. They're huge.
Oh, look at the sheepdog, or whatever he is. Oh, wow, I didn't see those two.
Well, good morning, and thank you for being here. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners proclaims April 30th, 2025 as National Therapy Animal Day to honor therapy animal teams for their role in improving health and well-being. Organizations like Pet Partners, represented by Kate Frost and Pippa, Alicia Kramer and Goldie, Kimberly and Brownie, and Paula and Joy, along with Canine Companions, represented by Julie Shepard, and local volunteers provide comfort, healing, and support through certified therapy animals. Therefore, this proclamation encourages more residents to consider volunteering, recognizing the positive physical and emotional impact therapy animals bring to the community. This, the 8th day of April, 2025. So Kate. Yes. Okay. You got your hands full.
I know. I'm going to try to.
Okay, great. And then Julie. Thank you. Either of you want to say anything? Did you want to say anything? No, okay.
Here we go. 3. 3, 2.
Ross said he should have bought some treats, and Commissioner Burrow said, say less. I've got something for you. All right, our next presentation is to once again recognize the 50th anniversary of Congregation Etzheim. We have a number of notable people in our community, but ask that you please join our commissioner up front.
Good morning. Good to see you. Okay, so we are celebrating 50 years for the congregation of Etzheim, the oldest and largest Jewish synagogue in Cobb County. So before I read the proclamation, I'd like to introduce Philip Goldstein and his wife, Elise, Joseph Goldstein, their son, and of course, you've just heard from Rabbi Dorsch. And before I read the proclamation, I just want to say thank you for all you do in the Cobb community. I've attended a lot of candle lightings of the menorah and the ecumenical council dinner during Thanksgiving, where we have all faiths participating. And my church, the Catholic Church of St. Anne's, has a project with you, your congregation, for the Daffodil Project. And Rabbi Al was with us for that last spring, so we look forward to continuing that relationship. So, whereas Congregation Etzheim was founded in 1975 by 6 families, and whereas Congregation Etzheim was the first Jewish congregation in Cobb County and began construction in 1980, and whereas the congregation has become an integral part of the greater community through service, support, education, faith, and interfaith activities, as well as becoming a Jewish beacon in our county and state. And whereas Congregation Etzheim has grown to 600 families and over 2,000 individuals as of April 2025. And whereas Congregation Etzheim is celebrating its golden anniversary of continued service to the Jewish community in Metro Atlanta. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize, salute, and acknowledge Congregation Etzheim's 50th anniversary and hereby proclaim April 27th, 2025 as Congregation Etzheim Day in Cobb County. This is the 8th day of April. Would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank the commission once again for this tremendous honor, and everybody here for celebrating with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll get in for a picture.
There you go. All right, here we go. 3, 2, and got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have another one?
All right. Our final presentation today is to present a proclamation designating the week of April 13th through the 19th as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Cobb County. For those of you who are part of this presentation, please join me up front. I was gonna say, I hope there are no emergencies going on in Cobb County right now.
Don't call 911 now. There's plenty of folks that are still over there.
I must say, it's good to see the people within this organization, because typically when we're calling 911, it's in our most challenging moments. And if you've ever had that experience, having 2 boys, have had that experience more than I care for. You sometimes feel outside of your being, outside of yourself, and having someone who can respond and help you through that moment means a lot. And it means a lot to me to see you here today and to be able to honor you. So, honoring our 911 heroes. This morning, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners recognizes the vital role of public safety telecommunications professionals in protecting our community. They ensure our safety and the well-being of our citizens, our visitors, and our first responders. And whereas National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week is an annual celebration dedicated to honoring the public safety telecommunications professionals who serve as our first responders, answering emergency calls and providing immediate assistance during times of crises. And whereas the public safety telecommunications professionals of Cobb County diligently answer emergency calls, coordinate emergency responses, and provide life-saving assistance, often in high-pressure situations where every second counts. And whereas the Cobb County Emergency Communications Center has been recognized as an award-winning agency, having recently earned the Accredited Center of Excellence designation from the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch for its exceptional use of emergency police dispatch and emergency medical dispatch protocols, making it one of only 33 centers worldwide to receive this prestigious recognition. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, hereby proclaim the week of April 13th as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Cobb County. We applaud the dedication and service of our 911 professionals and extend our deepest gratitude for your invaluable contributions to the safety and security of our community. This, the 8th day of April, 2025. Thank you.
I promise you there are people working today. There's a lot of them, actually. Chairwoman, you've done this for us every year, and we want to thank you and the Board of Commissioners, Dr. McMorris, Director Register. We could not do any of this without your support. I also have to give a shout out to the ITS team, Kimberly and her team, for everything that they do for us. Without them, we could not function. And also our internal technology team. During the challenges a couple of weeks ago, they ensured that we were nonstop functional. And we are an extremely redundant center, and so we just want to say thank you to the entire tech team who is here today. So real quick, I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to say this. 911 professionals are the first of the first responders. The questions we ask, the decisions we make, the actions we take sets the pace for the entire emergency response, ensuring safety, shaping outcomes, and setting the foundation for for every unit to follow. I'm going to give you a quick example of that. As the Commissioner said, all of our 911 professionals, Chairwoman. As the Chairwoman said, all of our 911 professionals are certified emergency medical dispatchers by the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch. What that means is when you call 911 for an ambulance, if you're in need of medical attention, or you know somebody who's in need of medical attention, we're going to ask you a few questions. We're going to triage that call while simultaneously dispatching emergency response units. We're going to provide you post-dispatch and pre-hospital instructions. With that being said, we call that the 0-minute response. We are essentially initiating patient care prior to EMS or fire arrival. And so I'm very, very, very proud to say, in the last 2 weeks, 2 of our team members have provided instructions to safely deliver 2 babies over the phone. It's truly the best way to describe what it is that we do, and I'll send you that email shortly. I have never been prouder to lead a team of exemplary 911 professionals. It is an honor to serve all of you, and I know it's their honor to serve our community. So thank you again.
Outstanding, thank you.
I'll just say congratulations again to Melissa and her team. What great work they do. They do get a lot of recognition, and I think we only see the recognition. We don't really see the hard work that goes in to them getting the recognition that they so greatly deserve. So thank you again, Melissa and your team, for all you do for the county and the partnership with public safety and the community.
Thank you, Director. All right, we'll line up for a photo. We'll need you to go in the middle, Director, with the proclamation, and we'll need for you all to swing over here so we can balance out the front. All right, that concludes our presentation portion of this meeting, and we are now at our first public comment.
Good morning. As the board provides the podium for public comment, it's appropriate to review the related meeting rules. When you approach the podium, please state your name and if you are speaking on behalf of an organization. All comments should be directed to the commission as a body and addressed through the chair. Public comment is not a dialogue with the board, but an opportunity for speakers to provide their comments to the board. Comments should not be slanderous. The board encourages, regardless of the topic, for the audience to be respectful and courteous to all speakers. Everyone attending this meeting should give others the right to both listen and be heard by treating each other with civility. Statements made during public comment portion is not reflective of the opinions of the board or the administration of the Cobb County government, and a timer is available on the podium to track your 3 minutes. And the first speaker, Mr. Tracy Stevens.
Good morning, council, commissioners. Sorry, speak at city council too. I got to talk about transit again. Boy, did we dodge a bullet in the last vote. All I've ever spoken
Excuse me,
for
sir.
about
Can you just
transit-
state your name once again?
I'm sorry, Tracy Stevens.
Thank you, Tracy.
When it comes to transit, I've spoken on this multiple times. I was against the M-SPLOST for a variety of reasons, but most of all, because we've got to fix what we have first. We've got to make a system that makes sense first. This current article that Annie Main wrote in MDJ was a very eye-opening experience. All the stuff we're doing for CID was free transit. People still didn't write it. So that ought to give us some feedback as to we're not on the right course. I'm not anti-transit. I'm pro-transit for the right reasons, for the right people. But just like government, we're supposed to take care of those that need it most first. I'm not sure that the CID contribution was really helping that. There are people trying to get to work. There are people that need it. There are people, seniors. The microtransit program is probably the smartest thing we've done in a while. But we're simply, at this juncture, riding a bunch of empty buses and we're not fixing anything. When I was first in business in North Carolina, I was the first in our area to network computers with Novell software. We used IBM PC Juniors as dumb terminals. And the one thing the guy that set me up for success said, he was an MIT grad, he says, I can do this for you, but only if you have a system that works on paper now. I said, we do. So we networked. And I said, well, why'd you ask that question, Chuck? He said, because what I will do is turbocharge your mistakes by networking this system if your paper doesn't work on, if your system doesn't work on paper. Our system right now does not work on paper. We can go through the numbers. I found it interesting that she only was given the 2023 numbers, but essentially it was a $30.85 million to operate in 2023, and if memory serves me correctly, that was against a $25 million budget. So we ran 20% over budget right there. I know the 2024 numbers are worse, or else she would have had those. And I can guarantee you that 2025, which has gone from $29 million budget in 2024 to a $38 million budget, a $9 million increase, we are going to turbocharge the losses. All right? Again, I want to serve the people that need it. You need people like me that are pro-transit but anti the way this is being programmed to get involved in this, not just a bunch of yes men. Thank you.
The next speaker is Denny Wilson.
Good morning, Danny Wilson. I've been missing for a minute and probably will be missing for a while because now that we have taken over services in the city of Mableton, you won't have me coming down here to harass you anymore. I'm happy to have a council that listens to the needs of the people when it comes to our quality of life, which is something that we didn't have here at the Board of Commissioners. So I'm very, very thankful now, even though I was against the city, and I still joke about being kidnapped into the city of Mableton, but each and every meeting that I have attended, they have listened to the will of the people, and they have implemented the policies and procedures that we requested. And even though we may have not gotten everything, but we got things right. And I'm hoping that the council will continue to get it right, because all they have to do is look to you to tell them, you know, what will happen if they don't get it right. But I have the utmost faith in them, and, you know, I think that they will. I don't know what's going to happen down the road, but I'm looking forward to the changes and us getting away from the Board of Commissioners. I think that it's going to be a great thing for us. And I won't miss you, and I know you definitely won't miss me. But, you know, I think there's greater things ahead for us. And as we build out the city, I think that, you know, we'll have some trials and tribulations, but I think that we'll be able to get, you know, to get away from that. And Chairwoman Cupid, I'm still waiting to get my refund of the $500 contribution that I gave you when you ran for re-election with no opposition. I know I won't get it back, but I guess with all the harassment that I've caused you, I can truly say that the debt has been paid in full. Thank you.
The next speaker is Matt Stiegel.
One day we'll get it right, Matt.
Sorry. I'm a newbie here.
Oh, you're good. You're good. My name is Matt Stiegel. I live in District 1, and I have served on the Transit Advisory Board for a few years now. Today on the agenda, there are two proposals to cut service targeting multiple commuter routes and the local Cumberland Circulator, specifically the green route. Today we're in a fork in the road, I believe, that I knew was coming after the failure of the IMSPLOST, in that, you know, do we continue to fund transit, or do we look at cutting services? And we must take a step back and question ourselves. do we actually really want transit to be successful here? Because transit seems to be looked at under a much different microscope and lens than other public services. No other public service has their spend come under such scrutiny. I even see calls for transit to be profitable. You hear the common refrain about empty buses. There is no other service in the county that is looked at under such a lens. That we don't look at idle time for public services. We don't look at, whether the usage of libraries as much, things like that. Which don't get me wrong, very important services, just like our public transit is. And so as a public service, we still need transit to be successful for everyone. I think we are in the issue we have today because we look at doing transit for a certain group of people. And if we want to have a strategic focus on ridership and impact, especially if low ridership will continue to be used to cut services. Beyond broken fare boxes, inconsistent ridership data, and inadequate infrastructure, a lack of marketing will always doom transit to failure. I used to live and work in Cumberland, and with an extensive career in marketing, I've always been kind of watching what we do to market our services. And I've always been shocked at the lack of marketing that we do to boost transit ridership. I've looked at a lot of our marketing materials online only, and we've only really posted 2 posts over the last couple of years to market the services that we have. October 22nd of 2004, we marketed the launch of microtransit, which is great, but there's been nothing since. And then April 3rd, we actually did a post about riding transit to the Braves game that I thought was really great. I almost thought it was an April Fool's joke. And even in that, though, there was information about there being no buses on Sundays, which is not accurate information. Buses do run on Sundays. So even with that, there wasn't accurate information to try to boost our ridership. And so we must support these services to drive ridership if we're going to continue to use ridership as a metric of whether or not we fund it. Lastly, the timing of this, I think, is also very suspect when it comes to commuter routes. We just used redundant services to cut the state services. And also the fact that one of the commissions that's most impacted by this is currently sitting empty right now while we're having these conversations means that this is not the right time to have these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Mr. Timothy Rice.
Good morning. She said my name, and it is Timothy Rice. Every time you see me, I want you to be reminded, and actually, every time you put your makeup on in the morning, I'd like you to be reminded of the resounding defeat of MSPLOST. It wasn't like last night's Florida-Houston game. It was more like Florida versus Norfolk State. Resounding defeat. Ask yourself why that was. Continue to ask, what are we missing in our decision making? And I point you to the recent headline in DeKalb County where the CEO enacts spending and hiring freezes to ensure fiscal stability. They're seeing something. I listened to a little bit of the meeting from last Tuesday night, and what I saw was we're planning on more spending. We're planning on more spending. Why did Eric Allen at the BSA meet and greet, as he was talking to potential voters to sit in that empty chair, why did he lament the impact of DOGE to nonprofits in Cobb County? Now that's something I don't know much about, as to how much money is flowing from the federal government to nonprofits in Cobb County. And why are the county, or why are any counties for that matter, not just Cobb, why are they so intertwined with expecting money from the federal government? We saw with the tax assessments that there should be plenty for the needs of the community. So just again, please ask, what are we missing in our decision making as we discuss, mostly I think behind closed doors, because what I see in this room and what I see in general is that by the time things get here, they're virtually rubber stamped. There really isn't community input to understand what's going to happen. The decisions on spending are made, and they're voted on here, but that's just about it. Thank you for the time today.
The next speaker is Mitchell Reddle.
Hello, I'm Mitchell Redd, and I live in the Cumberland area, and I'd like to speak on some transit-related topics. I sense that these things are going to come up because of the MSPLOST loss, and I know that, like Matt said, that transit receives a disproportionate amount of scrutiny, criticism that, we don't see other public services receive. We are rarely ever concerned about the idling time of fire trucks, the idling time of law enforcement vehicles. We do look at road studies greatly for transportation purposes, but we never really focus on the fact that at the Acre Square Mill shopping area in Cumberland, that's like massive amounts of acres of parking space that are always empty. It's an underutilization of physical space. Same thing for Cumberland Mall. There's, like I've walked through the Cumberland Mall parking lot from the Cumberland transit station, and there's massive, like hundreds of spots at the Cumberland Mall that sit empty at peak hours at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and that is, again, just an underutilization of physical space. The Cobb Parkway segment that runs through the Battery area, at most, that's like a 12-lane wide road. And currently, 10, 11 in the morning, it is pretty vacant road. Same way for Cobb Parkway as you get closer to the Chattahoochee River if you're going toward Atlanta. It's about 6 to 8 lanes wide at most, but currently it's a pretty dead road. We just never see these different types of public services receive the harsh scrutiny that transit receives. On a positive note, I use the Blue Circulator greatly in the CCID. I think it hits a lot of points of interest. It hits the AMC movie theater, the Battery. It's a godsend to get on the Blue Circulator for free to go to the Battery instead of having to fight through Cobb Parkway, but I can still see some improvements where that bus often, well, sometimes it's a van, but it does get stuck in the Cobb Parkway traffic. I think that, like a previous speaker said, that there's great ways that CobbLink can be a success, such as getting better data, having better promotion, ensuring that the changes that CobbLink experiences, like, for example, we didn't know that the app to use live tracking bus data, it was recently decommissioned in favor of a transit app that ACC Transit uses. I think that it's great to have these studies, but I think without having a commissioner for District 2, it's not the appropriate time to have these conversations. Thank you.
And the final speaker is Mr. Craig Harfoot.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Craig Harfoot. Our Cumberland CID gets way too much of our money. I mean, I don't think most people realize 40 acres of the Cumberland CID is owned by the trust, meaning the Rockefeller Brothers Trust. And they lease the land. They own the land, so they're the voting member of the CID. A large block of it. And they lease these properties to other people, like the Brave Stadium and all that stuff in the CID. So we got hosed on the Braves deal. And yet we keep dumping more and more money in it and then giving them all the bus service stuff, apparently from what everybody's been talking about. And when it all goes south, and if you're watching the news, there's earthquakes all over the world, but there's financial earthquakes here, and it's all about the tariffs. Now, the tariffs are just a ploy. to get us all on parity on zero tariffs, but they've been pushing us very hard. I mean, they're trying to scare people every day in the media. Get out the banks, sell your stocks, do this, buy gold, dump your gold. You know, this is how crazy it is. I've never seen it like this. It's just nuts. And we're on shaky ground, and we need to get on stable ground. And that's why I suggested a lost instead of a splost. And what I'm going to suggest today is you can do private buses. The little turtles, they called them on Buford Highway. Independent bus services that could adapt to the needs of the people that rode on them. And they still had MARTA running up and down that Buford corridor, but, you know, I heard somebody here talk about capitalism's great, private is great, private enterprise. It was one of the commissioners here when I talked to her last time. And this is where you should be going with the bus. Now, if Kennesaw and the students, there again, it could be private, doesn't have to be Cobb County. I mean, I'm watching these projects on the intersection of Johnson's Ferry, and they got 10 people there. One guy's digging a hole, and 9 people are watching him. And you got 2 police cars, and it was all just to widen a lane that you could have just painted a turn lane in, change the light, but no, we're going to spend millions of dollars, and we tore up all this stuff and interrupting business, and time's up.
Thank you for our speakers. I believe that concludes our public comment. We are now at the consent agenda, and these matters were scrolling on the screen prior to the meeting, and will scroll on the screen at its conclusion. Commissioners, I am looking to see if we have any modifications. We do have one. Thank you, Commissioner Burrow. We do have a modification to agenda item number 5 for the DA's office. And just because it's come up a few times in public comment, I would like for there to be some clarity for DOT with the transit-related items for 11 and 12. If we can pull that off the agenda so we can get some clarity on what is actually occurring with this item. Commissioners, do you have any other? Thank you. Thank you. We have also our HR policy has been pulled as well. I have a different, excuse me, don't seem to have that. Okay. I'm looking at an old one. Thank you. All right, with that being stated, Commissioners, I move that we approve the consent agenda as it has been revised.
Second.
Yes, oh, that's okay. And will authorize execution of the necessary documents by the appropriate county personnel. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll call the question. The motion carries 4-0. Since agenda items 11 and 12 were pulled, we'll go ahead and talk through those first. Good morning. Morgan, if you can just share your name and title with everyone, since we are not used to seeing you here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Morgan Simmons. I'm one of the Deputy Directors with Department of Transportation, representing our intermodal services.
Thank you.
I'm playing Drew today.
Appreciate you being here, and we had some discussion regarding agenda items 11 and 12.
Of course.
And I am sensitive to the concern that we are cutting services. And here it states that we are modifying services. And I just want you to speak through that and also speak through what this particular agenda item or these 2 agenda items authorize us to do.
Okay, absolutely. So I'm speaking specifically on item number 11. This is in reference to our green circulator. We currently have the blue and the green circulator that provides a free circulator throughout the Cumberland area. We are proposing the removal of that service because due to ridership impacts, but also just operational impacts that we've noticed, that has made the route inefficient. With this particular item, we are proposing to do put the service equity analysis out so that we can get public comment on it. So we can provide not only feedback on what the proposals and alternatives for services within the area will be, but also following the federal requirements that we have anytime we have a major service change. And so that is what this particular item here is authorizing us to do, to be able to open that public comment period, to be able to provide an opportunity for a public hearing, which we're proposing at the next BOC meeting, and then, of course, providing you all the opportunity to vote on it later on around May time.
Okay. Were you
sorry.
going to say something? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to go to item number 12 and kind of give a little bit of clarity on that one as well, but if you had any questions about item number 11, please let me know.
Yes, before I ask any questions, I'll see if any commissioners do. So if you can share with us what other circulators are in a similar area as the green circulator?
So we have the blue circulator that it will continue to traverse the same area. We are making adjustments operationally to that. So it will have a little bit of an overlap of what the green circulator is currently doing now. We also have Route 50 that traverses Powers Ferry. That is a similar path as our green circulator, and a lot of the higher demands of the green circulator are also served by Route 50 as well. So we would, a part of the actions, if we were to move forward with this proposal, is directing a lot more attention and directing our customers to existing services like Route 50 that would still get you exactly where you need to go, whether it's nearest to Truist Park or the CTC, which is our Cumberland Transfer Center.
Okay, and the operative word to use is if, that there
That
will
is
be
correct.
an analysis to even determine if we move forward.
Absolutely.
these
And so that analysis is what we will be posting this week, to start that public comment period.
Okay, and then there's also a question of timing. How critical is it for us to move these forward today versus in May to have the seat filled for District 2, considering the impacts there?
Well, we will operate at the direction of the board. We were hoping to be able to couple these changes, to be able to provide our operator a collective response of the different changes and the processes that they have to do in order to prepare for those changes. So again, we would operate at the direction of the board.
Okay, and then that's a question that I would pose to commissioners considering those remarks. Some of these service changes are directly impacting District 2, and I would like to get your thoughts regarding us delaying this until that district commissioner is seated. Yes, Commissioner Gambrell.
So I don't have an issue with voting on this and having DOT start moving forward. As far as the final decision that will be made, we're months down the road from that happening.
Okay.
So, and the candidates who are running for that seat should be paying attention to what this board is doing now.
Okay.
So they should be paying attention. They should be hearing. They should be listening to public comment that we're hearing now. Because again, they're going to be stepping into a job that is going to be going forward. They can't be catching up. So with that being said, DOT just can't go out and have a meeting on this tomorrow. They've got to notify, they've got to send out, they've got to find a place to hold the meeting. There's a bunch of things that need to start happening now for them to then be able to do a good public outreach. So I have no problem, even though we have, that district isn't represented. I'm sure that commissioner would say, yes, we need to analyze this to see if this is what we need to do and to get that process started now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Go to Commissioner Burrow and then Commissioner Sheffield.
Yes, I'm fine with staff's recommendation to move forward. And I know that there'll be one less input, but with all of us in favor of it, even a one no vote wouldn't defeat it. So, and I rely on and trust staff to know what we're doing here is the best project to move forward. So I support it.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheffield.
Same here. I support moving forward. Any information that we receive between now and when the new commissioner assumes office would be additional information for consideration, not just for us, but also for the new commissioner. So I'm supportive in moving forward.
Thank you. I know that I had the opportunity to speak with DOT as changes were being contemplated. And, you know, as a county, we're just so used to, we just continue to move forward that it did not strike me as sensitively as it should have, that we do not have a district commissioner in the seat where these services are being provided. And I think about all of us when we ran for office, of our attention and focus on running for office when we were not yet in the position, that there are going to be a lot of things that that person has to come up to speed in, but they will not have the opportunity to do that until they ensure that they are elected. I do know I just want to finish my remarks first, that's okay. I do know that there are a lot of steps that need to take place before there are any substantive decisions that are made with respect to this. If those are purely administrative and there is opportunity for that commissioner to get well up to speed and be engaged in those meetings, perhaps even coordinated with that commissioner's schedule so that they could be present. You know, if we can do those things to be mindful of them, I think that would be a courtesy that I would like to have had if I were not in my seat. I would like to think the board that I'm coming into sees my impact to be significant, that even if I vote no on something, if it's in my district, that they would have some consideration for my sensitivity to being elected to that district. So I'm a little taken back by that remark, but I also perceive that we can still move the administrative considerations of this forward and fully engage whatever commissioner comes into that role, knowing similar to us every day, even being elected, we're drinking out of a fire hose, but that's going to be certainly the case when they come on board and they have a number of weighty decisions to make.
If it could help, just one more additional note.
Yeah.
If we were to move forward with the administrative pieces and parts of this process, you all could still have an opportunity to vote on this particular item a little bit later, to give the other district commissioner an opportunity to catch up. The next opportunity for us to do service changes, we do them in rounds, and so the next one would be in the fall. So it could be a part of that batch of potential service changes if we needed to. So just giving some additional options.
Yeah. If you can speak a little bit to next steps, that would help me, because I don't know if waiting to the fall would necessarily be as helpful, because I know that the desire is to channel some of our resources to augment where there is need, and we could be strengthening that today and still providing service in that area. So if you can just talk through what could be some of the administrative, less substantive steps that could be taken.
So part of this process is we would, if we were to have this item approved today, we would start the public comment period, which would start this week. We would post the equity analysis, which we've been working on in the background to make sure it's ready. We post that information. We would have a series of public meetings. So for both of the service changes, we are dedicating at least 2 public meetings to make sure that we've captured as many comments as possible. We would also administer seat drops, reach out to stakeholders to see if there's opportunities to speak to organizations as needed. And we would do that during the entire 30-day public comment period. We would have the public hearing, hopefully at the next BOC meeting, which I believe is on the 22nd, followed by bringing this item back to the board at the first available meeting in May, so that we would be able to position our operators to be able to prepare how they have to prepare for any service changes. And so those would be some of the steps that we would have to take.
Okay, so the ball will be moving pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, Commissioner Brawl, I'm sorry, forgot you wanted to.
You said it wouldn't be implemented till the fall if we held this. And we've got a lot of activity going on now and this summer in the Battery and the stadium and the Cumberland area. And I just see the need, or wouldn't be before us, the need to start the process. There are other things on the agenda that we're voting on for District 2 and moving forward. So I think we need to stick to the recommendation from DOT to move forward and start the public hearing process and input and all that now.
Thank you. Commissioner Gamble.
And just to kind of elaborate on Morgan's comments and then comments that have been made up here, the bottom line is it sounds like they're gonna have some public outreach meetings, and then the first public hearing is gonna be on hopefully at April 22nd, again,
ma'am.
tentatively.
Yes, ma'am.
But that's gonna be the first time this full board is gonna hear comments on this subject from anyone. And again, there is nothing that's gonna preclude two candidates. Okay, I haven't had comments from people from District 2 as far as our speakers, two speakers today, as far as closing down this green line. So, the concern was that we've got an empty seat. Again, we're going to be hearing a lot of the comments for the first time, possibly on the 22nd, unless people reach out with us with emails. We'll be able to read the feedback just like we do on other events. I know I had an Allatoona Greenway meeting, and there's going to be a lot of public input, and this by no means is a negative, but none of my fellow board members were at that meeting, yet you were going to be asked to vote on that proposal as well. So I don't view that as any different than this. And again, the candidates are going to be able to know when these public meetings are. They're going to be able to attend. They're going to be able to interface with the public. They're going to be able to listen to public comment. I don't see a reason to slow this down. I too had a meeting with DOT shortly after the MSPLOST failure and was given, kind of a high-level briefing of lines that were going to be cut, lines that might be expanded. But even if Morgan was standing here today asking us to expand a route, we would still have to do the public outreach. We would still have to go through all these problems, or not problems, but processes. And my vote wouldn't change of supporting moving forward minus an empty seat, because again, the same process has to come before we can make a final decision. So again, I support the agenda item that DOT has and to continue to move forward.
Thank you. I will add that perhaps your comments swayed me to have greater concern because as you shared, when you had the Allatoona Greenway meeting, you said no other commissioner was there, yet we all voted on it, which means that because you were the commissioner of a project area where citizens of the district you serve were going to be impacted, it was very important for you to be present, but it was less important for others who weren't the district commissioner to be present, which means that you might make decisions differently based on your proximity to the issue and to the people. So if we are here today, that makes me have a heightened concern because I can't perceive that we will be more sensitive to the impact of this service than the district commissioner that will be seated, that will be serving that area, and they will likely be more prompted than any other commissioner that's sitting here to be present. We all come here and we speak because we have some belief that what we say and do has sway on the others here on the board. So even to say if that person was sitting here, my perception wouldn't change. It's almost to say as if no district commissioner is really needed. I'm having tremendous difficulty in hearing that remark. And again, I fully support where DOT is going. I like the plan that they shared with me. I think you heard it. I'm not sure if all commissioners heard it on some modifications. But unfortunately, me being in my role and not being as impacted to the concerns that communities have to that seat being empty, me hearing those remarks today is causing me to respond to it, because that's the kind of consideration that I would have liked to have had. Should I be a district commissioner and to see others making decisions that exclude me in that? I don't understand, Morgan, and maybe you can help me see, if this were not to wait until the fall, is it not possible for this to wait until May, when we know that somebody will be seated in that seat?
Well, I will say, if we do have an opportunity, if we needed to segment the service changes out, we could initiate and prolong the public comment period for the green circulator. I think that could be a good middle ground, because again,
It's an
this
excellent
one,
middle ground.
this one is not as, I would say, as pressing as the other service change, which is partnered with another entity. So we could always do that. And again, we could initiate both at the same time, give it a little bit, extend it out a little bit longer for the green circulator, allow you all an opportunity to, we can bring it back for the actual approval later. So that wouldn't be a problem.
Thank you. Would commissioners be amenable to extending that public comment period for that service?
And what would that do to the timeframe for the vote and the project?
Can you turn your mic on? Yes.
I didn't hear the question.
I'm
so
sorry.
sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So would we hold these two agenda items for 30 days? Is that what you're asking?
No,
What are
ma'am.
you asking? That we,
I didn't ask. She shared a compromise to allow this to still move forward, but to extend public comment for that particular service that's in District 2, so that everything can still move along, but that there is a greater time window of which that commissioner can be brought up to speed, and that project not move forward as quickly as the others, is what I'm perceiving you're sharing.
That's one
Just for
option.
that one.
Then there's another option of if we would decide to start this process a little bit later, then we would still give it the same 30-day comment period accordingly. So we could always revamp the schedule a little bit so that it kind of mirrors a little bit of what the arrival of the new commissioner could be. So we could do that for the green circulator item.
So you would revamp the schedule until when, and would that still put us in a window of the fall?
So that would be something that we would have to look into, because that would probably, if we push it out too far, then this will definitely a change that would happen in the fall.
No, sorry, with the alternative that you're sharing, do we need to wait until the fall to modify the schedule, or could we not bring this back in May?
So if we were to make an adjustment to the public comment period and all the administrative actions that we would need for the green circulator, it would push this service change to actually be activated in the fall. We would not have enough time to activate it in the summer.
And then you stated the alternative, excuse me, Commissioner, I'm trying to get.
No, I know.
I'm not, you stated the first option was to delay the window for the public comment just for the green circulator
So if
and
we were
allow
to-
this to move.
Yes, ma'am, I'm so
Okay.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, so sorry. The first alternative was if you wanted to, we could just extend the window of public comment period, but again, that would still push the service change to be done in the fall.
I see.
So either one of those, it's going to still push it to the fall. So
Okay.
that's,
Okay. Commissioner Sheffield, I'm not sure if that answered your.
So if we extend the window for public comment, we're pushing it to the fall.
yes, ma'am.
But if we move forward with the way things are, as you have them written, then that would give us, what time frame? Was that the summer, did you
It
say?
would be
or
able
the
to
spring?
activate in the summer. Yes, ma'am.
Activate in the summer, okay.
Before July?
Before All-Star, that would be the goal.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I see.
Okay.
Commissioner Gamble. I'm sorry, hold on for a second. Did you have a follow-up question, Commissioner? No. Okay. Commissioner Gamble.
Morgan, does the timing of this, because I know it sounds like we've got two different vendors you're working with between the green and the blue line, does this correspond with our contracts that we have with them?
So we have the same vendor. TransDev is our operator for our transit system, and so they would be completing both of these service changes.
And again, are these changes corresponding with
their
existing
window
guide-
when they make changes, any type of service changes that impacts the operator schedules, yes. So we're trying to make sure that we are balancing within that window, yes.
Well, what I'll share is I'm still supportive of the agenda as it is written. I am sensitive to a new commissioner coming on board and drinking from a fire hose. I certainly recall what that was like. But I will also make a commitment as a member of this board to attend the public comments when we have them in District 2 to hear from the public directly, because I too will be voting on this agenda item. So while that seat may be vacant, I'm willing to, again, attend those public comments. And it is my hope that the two candidates, it's obviously open to them as well, the public comments to attend. So there's an opportunity there for them to receive public comments. In terms of a timeline with the All-Star Game and so much activity occurring in the summer, I do want to meet the summer deadline and not push it to the fall. So again, I'm committed to attending those public comments and hearing from the residents in that community.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Chairwoman, could I just add
Oh,
one comment?
yes, please.
I'd already asked the agency directors, and particularly Public Safety and DOT, to block off time for the new district commissioner as soon as the vote is over. And whoever wins, we would be willing to reach out to them and do fast pace up to speed on two things. One, the critical decisions that would have to be made at that May 11th meeting. I think it's May 11th or 12th. And also any agenda items that would be on that meeting. So we are willing as a staff also to sit with whomever is going to be in District 2 and get them up to speed operationally with whatever we're doing, just so that you all are aware. We've already blocked off time for them.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gambrill?
But if I can add to that, I also know we've got candidates that are already speaking with our directors and asking questions. So again, they can have the opportunity today to start asking questions and getting that information as well.
Okay. Should everything move forward, what decision point will be made in May for that district commissioner to be a part of that impacts the outcome of this?
So the May vote will include the vote of the approval of the service equity analysis, whatever findings are in that analysis. It would also be the vote to change the service. And then, of course, this for this green circulator is just two actions, and it would just be the vote to change the service and the vote to approve the service equity analysis.
Okay, so if there's a 30-day window after that decision is made and that district commissioner has concerns, could they delay that decision for their greater consideration if they desired without impairing the timeline to the next meeting?
I think anything past that May BOC meeting will delay.
The first May, because we have
Yes.
2 in May. Okay.
Anything past that will delay.
Okay. And again, commissioners, I'm having this conversation not saying I'm not supportive of this agenda item. I want us to be mindful of the impact that we're having on someone who's not yet seated here, and us to think about significant decisions that will come before us in our desire to have our imprint or mark on it, especially when they have constituents that are here that are questioning that haste without their elected representative. I think we owe them this deliberation. With that, commissioners, we have agenda item 11 before us. I'm going to read the motion, and we'll take a second, and we'll see if there's any additional comment, and then we'll move on to agenda item 12. And Morgan, thank you for working with us through this.
Of
I know,
course.
again, you're not typically here, but again, I believe that this is a worthwhile conversation.
Of course, absolutely.
Considering the circumstances. And a matter of fact, I don't need to read the motion. You can, DOT Director.
Sure, absolutely. Let me turn the page. So recommendation for the Board of Commissioners authorize advertisement to conduct a public hearing to present a service equity analysis regarding proposed service modifications of the Cobb Link Green Circulator Service and authorize initiation of a 30-day public comment period.
All right, I will motion to approve this agenda item. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? And I just want an affirmation, Dr. McMorris, that this will certainly be a part of that discussion. Of
course.
Yeah, very good. All right, with that, we'll call the question. The motion carries 4-0. We need to go to agenda item number 12. And if you can talk through these routes, 100, 101, and 102.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so this is similar like process where anytime we make a service change or major service change, we have to go through the process of completing a service equity analysis with a 30-day public comment period, inclusive of public meetings and public outreach to make sure that we've collected as much feedback and engaged with the community as much as possible. For our commuter routes, we have been, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, and have been in coordination with ATL, who have done a regional look at the demand on the commuter service demand throughout the region. And as a result of their findings, we have all taken a hard look at some of the services that we're all offering and determining if there are ways that we can streamline a tad bit better. And so the removal of these services would in fact allow what put us and position us to be in partnership for us to have a cost sharing agreement, which was something that will come back to the board in the future with one of their express services that they're offering on the I-75 corridor. And so a part of this is for us to be able to go through the federal processes necessary for any removals that we would propose within our system.
All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this? And as you have alluded to, this has been part of a very
Rigorous.
large, wide regional effort to streamline all of the commuter services
Absolutely.
that are impacting the region. And again, from your comments shared at the meeting yesterday, there'll be ample notice for current riders to
Absolutely.
see how they'll be impacted, because we can sit here and talk about it, but we don't utilize these services. And so engagement of those that do is very important.
Of course.
Yeah, very good. So with that, if you don't mind reading the recommendation, and then we'll.
Absolutely. The department is requesting the Board of Commissioners to authorize advertisement to conduct a public hearing to present a service equity analysis regarding proposed service modifications of the Cobb Link commuter service routes 100, 101, and 102, and authorize initiation of a 30-day public comment period.
All right. So moved as it has been presented.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 4-0. Thank you so much, Morgan. With that, that takes us to our one regular agenda tab, and that is for transportation. And it's the Morgan Show.
Come back.
You're still here. Stay with us.
Absolutely. Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, and County Manager. Morgan Simmons with Department of Transportation. We have one agenda item for your consideration. The item is to recommend the Board of Commissioners to approve a contract with Tidwell Construction Company in an amount not to exceed $327,696.14 for Chastain Meadows Parkway over Noonday Creek, project number B2117, authorize the corresponding budget transactions, and further authorize the chairwoman to execute the necessary documents.
Thank you. I know this has typically been a District 3 consideration, but with our realignment, this is now in District 2. But we know that there has been ongoing support and public participation in this project. So with that, Commissioners, I move that we approve the agenda item as it has been written. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Go ahead.
When this project was approved, it was District 3, but because you have to go out to bid for the work to be done, construction, It now resides in District 2. So do we need to have the same discussion that we had on the transit, since that's a vacant seat until April 29th?
I think that's a fair question, and I don't mind responding to it. The changes in the bus route is something that was new before the board. This is not something that's new before the board or the public. And so I don't think it requires that amount of consideration. But again, I can't emphasize enough how we should be mindful that this seat is vacant and someone is coming in new who has the desire to be as engaged and involved and a steward of their district as much as all of you are. So with that, there's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? We'll call the question. The motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
That now takes us to our second public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
There are no.
It's brief. We're not used to this. We're used to many more items on our agenda. All right, so there are no speakers. That now takes us to the appointment tab. And the first one is in District 3, Commissioner.
Thank you. I would like to announce the appointment of Deborah Dance back to the Planning Commission, and she will replace Christine Lundstrom, and I want to thank Christine for her dedication and work over the past year as my Planning Commissioner on the board.
Thank you. It's good to see Deborah coming back. Go to agenda item 29. To announce the reappointment of Barclay Russell to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Also announce the reappointment of Enrico Washington to the Airport Advisory Board. And we are now at agenda item 31. Commissioners, I move that we approve the reappointment of James Coleman to the Public Library Board of Trustees.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 4-0. Next, I'd like to announce the reappointment of Dr. Justin Toth to the Animal Services Board. Also announce the reappointment of Beverly Jackson to the Historic Preservation Commission. And announce the reappointment of Matt Segal, who is here with us today, to the Transit System Advisory Board. And that concludes our appointment tab and takes us to the Commissioner's public address. Once the items or presentations are on the screen, please feel free to go ahead, Commissioner Gambrill.
You can join the North Cobb Regional Library for a fun and relaxing art class led by Leslie Robb, a member of the South Cobb Arts Alliance. This program is open to all skill levels. No experience is necessary. This is a 2-day session, and you can please plan to attend both days. It starts this evening, Tuesday, April 8th, and is also Wednesday, April 9th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. All supplies are provided. You can feel free to bring your own acrylic paints, watercolors, or brushes if you prefer. Registration is required. You can click on the QR code for more information. And April 11th is National Pet Day, where we celebrate the happiness and companionship pets bring to our lives while raising awareness about the importance of adopting and reducing the number of animals in shelters. It's a great reminder to show extra love to your furry friends and appreciate the joy they add to your everyday life. And Willow is officially 2 today. And then thank you for all your generous donations to our 40 items in 40 days drive. We received close to 40 items so far, so Lent ends on April 17th, so there's still time to contribute. Good Friday is the day of reflection and prayer filled with joyful hope of a happy Easter. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us now to Commissioner Burrow.
Well, it is with great pleasure that I announce Police Precinct 6 is now open. Last Friday, we celebrated the opening and ribbon cutting of the new Cobb Police Precinct located at 3141 Hong Way in Northeast Marietta behind the Aquatic Center. And you can go there. The hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. File a report, request a copy of a report, VIN checks, online sales, safe space, vehicle releases, and speak with an officer. It was a great event, and all the board was there, and a lot of departments and public safety and police and fire. Everyone attended. It was great. Farewell to Chief Enhuser. Also last week, we had a farewell retirement party with Chief Enhuser. He has served as our chief for the last 3 years, and we are going to miss him, desperately miss him. And we wish him all the best. Saturday before last, I participated in the Powers Ferry Alliance cleanup along Powers Ferry, Terrell Mill area. They collected over 40 bags, 44 bags of trash, and had a group of 40 volunteers. It was a beautiful day, no rain, and it was great participation in the community, and very eye-opening to what you find on these cleanups, right, Commissioner? And then our next How to Do Business with Cobb is we'll be highlighting the Cobb DOT Road Maintenance Division, and it is Wednesday, April 21st at noon, and it's virtual, and you can go to cobbcounty.org/doing-business.
Commissioner, I believe that's a Monday for the 21st. You have it correct on your slide.
Oh, it is Monday. I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong day. It is Monday. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no problem.
April 21st at noon, and it is virtual, so you can go to cobbcounty.org/doing-business, and that's at the bottom, the link's at the bottom. And I also want to wish everyone a happy and joyous Easter, and we will be closed on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sheffield.
Thank you. District 4 news and updates. When you're there, you're family. I had the distinct pleasure of attending the soft opening of the new Olive Garden located at 1350 East-West Connector in Austell/Mableton. This exciting addition brings fresh energy to an already vibrant shopping center, now home to popular businesses like Floor & Decor, Ulta Beauty, Eggs Up Grill, and so many more. It's always a proud moment to witness continued investment in our community. The opening of the Olive Garden represents more than just a new dining option. It's a sign of growth, economic vitality, and commitment to progress in South Cobb. We warmly welcome Olive Garden and eagerly anticipate the contributions they will make to our local economy and community life. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to the incredible success of our 4th annual district-wide cleanup. Thanks to the support of over 440 dedicated volunteers, we collected an astounding 8,970 pounds of litter, which included items from the home of one of our seniors. This remarkable feat is a powerful testament to what we can achieve when we come together with a shared purpose: to keep our community clean, safe, and beautiful. I'd like to offer thanks to Kimberly White with Keep Cobb Beautiful, Ayana with Senior Services, Cobb DOT, Code Enforcement, and KSU students and elected officials. Thank you to our civic partners, the Austell Community Task Force, the Mableton Improvement Coalition, and District 4 Adopt a Mile groups for leading by example, and our community volunteers, of course, who truly showed what service looks like. I also want to thank our sponsors, Walmart, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Dunkin' Donuts, and Mooyah Burgers for keeping our team supported throughout the day. This year's cleanup included some powerful new additions. We welcome Keep Georgia Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful as I signed a proclamation in support of America's upcoming 250th anniversary committing to the national goal of collecting 250 billion pieces of litter by July 4th, 2026. Our cleanup will contribute towards that pledge. We also helped a senior in our district by cleaning her property of code violation, thereby reducing her code enforcement fines. It's a step toward launching regular senior-focused cleanups with our partners. And at the Austell Community Garden, we rolled up our sleeves to mulch and refresh the space as part of our day of service. To everyone who contribute their time, energy, a heartfelt thank you. Together, we are building a cleaner, greener, and more connected District 4. It is my privilege to honor Cobb County Police Chief Stuart Van Hooser for his outstanding leadership and lasting contributions to our community. Chief Van Hooser is retiring after many years of dedicated service, and on behalf of District 4, I want to extend our heartfelt congratulations and best wishes as he enters this new chapter. His leadership, his steadfast commitment to public safety, and his unwavering support for the residents of Cobb County has truly left a legacy. Chief Van Hooser, thank you for your service, your sacrifice, and your devotion to this community. You will be deeply missed, and it's time for you to take a rest.
That's cute.
We'll see if he's successful in that venture. Thank you to all of you who tuned in today to our Board of Commissioners meeting. I'd just like to recognize that April is National County Government Month, and throughout this month, we will be recognizing the many employees that do great works in serving you, our citizens, our businesses, and many stakeholders. We have 159 counties here in Georgia, over 3,000 nationally. And this is a time for us to recognize the mark that they leave in service, as there's a lot of attention that's provided on federal government that now I think with everything going on, there's never been a time that can really help to ground people in what makes our communities work by seeing how counties work. And just ask that you take some time to thank someone who works in local government. And for those in local government, I just personally want to say thank you for what you do to enable us to make Cobb the best that it could be. With that, I would like to say that our meeting has concluded, but we do have one more matter before us. We have a due cause hearing with respect to a license renewal, and we will take a short break prior to this hearing. So those of you who are here as a part of that, you can segue to the front of the room. Anyone that desires to leave, this would be a good time to do so. Commissioners, let's go ahead and recess until about 10:45, and then we'll be back for our hearing. Thank you. Good morning and welcome back to our Board of Commissioners meeting this April 8th, 2025. The Commissioners do have an appeal hearing before us today, which is determine if due cause exists to deny the 2025 Cobb County Health Spa license renewal for Yali Services Incorporated, doing business as Oriental Massage. I will turn things over to our county attorney for the day, Debbie Blair, to help us walk through today's hearing. Thank you.
Good morning. It is still morning, right?
Yes, it is.
So yes, this is an appeal hearing for Oriental Massage. Each side has 15 minutes to present their case, but the board can extend that if they so desire. We do have an interpreter for the person appealing, so that might take a little bit longer. But I'm going to turn things over to Sam Hensley, who is representing the county. And please proceed, Mr. Hensley.
Thank you, Madam County Attorney. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Madam County Manager and Madam County Manager or County Attorney for the day, as the Chairwoman stated. I like that. For the record, I am Sam Hensley, Jr. I represent the Cobb County Business License Division. As Ms. Blair indicated, we are here today on an appeal of an administrative denial of an application for renewal of a health spa license for Yali Services Incorporated, doing business as Oriental Massage, located at 2635 Sandy Plains Road, Suite 111, Marietta, Georgia 30064, Yali Tian, licensee. This application was denied by the Business License Division due to multiple violations of the Cobb Health Spa Code of Ordinances found in Section 78 of the Cobb County Code. Those violations include allowing massage therapy to be performed by individuals who are not Georgia state licensed massage therapists in violation of Georgia law. That's among other violations. This decision was appealed by the applicant to the License Review Board, and a hearing was held before that body on March 13th of this year, at which time the LRB voted unanimously to uphold the administrative denial. The applicant then filed a timely appeal to the Board of Commissioners, which brings us before you today. I do not believe that the applicant is represented by counsel. However, as Ms. Blair indicated, she does have a state-certified interpreter, Ms. Yvonne Choi, who was also present at the LRB hearing, so she will be translating today. And I will be swearing in the witnesses as well as the interpreter once we are ready to proceed. And that concludes my opening remarks. So with your leave, Madam Chairwoman, we will swear in the witnesses.
Yes, please. Thank you.
If you're going to be testifying in this hearing or believe you may be testifying, would you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this proceeding shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do. Madam Interpreter, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully interpret from Mandarin to English and English to Mandarin the proceedings now before this board in an accurate manner to the best of your skill and knowledge? Yes. If so, say I do. Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Chairwoman, I will now call my first witness.
Please.
Alicia Webb.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Alicia Webb,
And Ms. Webb, where are you employed?
the Cobb County Business License Division.
And what is your position in that office?
I'm the Business License Division Manager.
And briefly, what duties does that position entail?
I'm related to this type of business. We review and investigate the applications with the Cobb County Police Department to determine whether an application should be approved or denied.
Would that include applications for health spa business licenses?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the establishment that is at issue today known as Oriental Massage?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive an application for renewal for the health spa license for that establishment?
Yes.
And in reviewing that application, what did you ascertain?
My office was notified of multiple violations in July of 2024.
And can you briefly walk through what those violations were for us, please?
So the grounds for denial, just so that everyone's clear, are listed in the agenda packet and the denial letter that's dated February the 21st, which identifies the codes that, the basis for denial, as well as the sections that were violated. So on July the 23rd of 2024, my team, along with Detective Bruce Witt of the Police Department Permits Unit, visited this business, and I will let Detective Witt go into all the details of what he observed that day. However, Detective Witt obtained a warrant on that day for the licensee for allowing persons to operate and conduct massage therapy without a massage therapy license. Then there were citations issued for violation of 78-274. There were no records of treatment on site. 78-293F, there was no licensee or designated manager at the premises of the business at the time they were there. And then 78-294-6 for employing unlicensed persons to conduct massage therapy. And then the staff who were not permitted by the police department nor state licensed massage therapists were cited for failure to obtain a permit from the police department for operating in a health spa.
And you were present yourself at that compliance visit?
No,
is
sir,
that
my
correct?
team was there.
Your team was? That was members of the Business License Division, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. As a result of the information that you received from that compliance check, what action did you take in regard to this application?
The application was denied based on 78-294-6, 78-294-8, 78-249-9, and 294-12, 294-6, and 78-299A. Those were the listed violations and the grounds for denial.
And did you send a notice, a written notice of these violations and the denial decision to the applicant?
Yes, sir. The letter was sent out on February the 21st.
And that letter is part of the agenda packet for the board, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to hand you a document, Ms. Webb, that we're going to identify as the Chapter 78 of the Cobb County Code of Ordinances. Is that a true and correct copy, a certified copy of that ordinance section?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, I would like to enter that or offer that into evidence, and I may, with your leave. Are there any objections to offering this into evidence? No objections, Madam Chairwoman. Those are all the questions I have for Ms. Webb. I don't know if the applicant has any cross-examination questions. Thank you.
Okay, Attorney
Ms.
Hensley.
Webb, you may step down
can I
unless
see
the
if
board has some
commissioners- yes.
questions.
Do any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Brawl?
Yes, Alicia, good morning. Do you have, I know you read out all the different sections for 78, code 78 dash.
Right.
299,
Got it.
294, whatever, 45. In total, were there 6 or 7 violations? Or how many
3,
different
4, 5,
sections?
6. I'm counting 6, not including, though, the warrant that Detective Witt obtained, so that would have been 7.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have some.
And, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, and this happened over the one site visit or over?
One site visit.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
No problem. Yep. Yes, Alicia, if you can help me understand that there was a lawful license for Yali Services to be in business.
Yes, ma'am.
However, there was no one on the premises that lawfully had a spa work permit?
There was no one on the premises with a state license to conduct massage therapy, and the two staff members that were there did not have the health spa permit required by the code issued by the police department.
Okay.
And also, there wasn't a manager on site with a license?
There was no licensee or designated manager on site. I believe that they contacted the licensee, and she came there, but she was not on site when they arrived for the site visit.
The licensee does not necessarily need to have the health spa work permit.
Correct.
Correct.
Any state licensed massage therapist would not be required to obtain the permit. The permit's really issued kind of like an alcohol permit, so that we know that they're working there, but it would be issued to maybe a receptionist, a cleaner, those types of employees.
Okay, but the person who owned and operated the business, they did have a permit?
She has a
But
state
she
license,
just was
yes,
not
ma'am.
present?
Yes.
And it states here under 782946 that, oh, excuse me, I think I lost my place. Okay, that anyone who administers massage has to have that permit on hand?
A state license, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gamble, did I see your hand? Okay. Sheffield? Yes. go ahead.
Question. How many visits would you say that you guys visited the property and you didn't observe a licensee, a licensed person there, a licensed therapist?
This is the only incident that was cause for denial. I will have to double check with Detective Witt if we've been back out there.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions? Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd like to call Detective Bruce Witt to the stand.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you state your full name for the record, please?
My name is Detective Bruce Witt,
And Detective Witt, where are you employed?
Cobb County Police Department and Regulatory Services.
And what are your duties in regard to that position, please, sir?
I investigate and regulate any of the regulated businesses in Cobb County, to include health spas, alcohol businesses, pawn precious metal dealers, and record services.
And how long have you been in that position, sir?
Almost 7 years.
And are you familiar with the establishment that is at issue today doing business as Oriental Massage?
Yes, sir, I am.
And how are you familiar with that establishment?
We did an inspection on July 23rd, myself with a couple of business license compliance officers.
And what was the impetus for this compliance check? Was this part of a regular check of regulated businesses in the county, or had there been a complaint lodged? What was the basis for that inspection?
There was not a complaint at that particular business, but we were making an effort to visit all of the health spas in Cobb County to inspect them equally.
And on the date of this inspection of this establishment, please walk the board through what you found on that day.
Yes, sir. Myself with two compliance officers entered the business, and there was a doorbell that went off when we entered. When we went to the vestibule area, there was nobody that I could see. From the front door, if you step to the right, you can see down a small hallway. And out of one of the rooms exited a female who was later identified as Wenling Gao. When Miss Gao saw me, she started going towards the back of the business, away from me. I had to chase her towards the back and tell her, you need to come back out front. And I asked her to come up front and sit in the chairs, and I was going to make sure that nobody else was in the business. And she ran past the two compliance officers that were out front and ran out the front door. I had to chase her through the parking lot, catch her, and tell her to come back in the business. And then I had her sit down so I could speak with her. I went to go check the rest of the rooms in the business. And when I was checking the room that she came out of, there was a male customer who was draped with something. He was laying on his stomach. He didn't have anything on his upper torso that I could see. So I could see his bare shoulders and such. And I'd found Miss Gao's phone and her glasses in there. I asked if he was getting a massage. He told me he was getting a full body massage. I'd confirmed that Ms. Gao is not a licensed massage therapist, so she's not allowed to give massages. I asked if there was anybody else in the business. Ms. Gao said no. And then I told the customer that, well, she's not a licensed massage therapist, so she's not going to be able to continue giving you a massage. And he got dressed and he left. Further inspection of the business, checked the rest of the rooms, and off the vestibule, there's another doorway into another smaller vestibule, and there was a bathroom in there. Had looked in there, the door was all the way open, and there was nobody in the bathroom, but that was all that was in there. A couple minutes later, we found another female who's hiding behind the bathroom door, and she was later identified as, that was Miss Zeng. And she was also not a licensed massage therapist. Neither one of them are licensed massage therapists, nor do they have a permit to do massage or to be employed at the business. We'd asked them to call the owner of the business to come down to speak with us, and they did. And because there was, in all this, there was a language barrier, so I'd went ahead and called somebody to translate on the phone.
And who is the owner of the business?
That is Miss Yali Tan, is the owner of the business.
And is she present today in this hearing?
She is. She's wearing the white jacket over here. She came to the business, and she came there with her husband, Mr. Wu. Both are licensed massage therapists, and they had their child with them. And I asked her on that day, I asked her if she knew that was illegal for her to allow somebody to work there and give massage therapy without a license, and she told me she was aware of that. I'd asked her how come she wasn't at the business. She had told me that her child was sick, and she went to go help her husband with her child, and they had to go and do something about taxes. And now, keep in mind, this is afternoon time. It's about 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. So, they're both with their child. Both of them are licensed massage therapists. Either one of them could have been at the business doing massage therapy, and that would have been fine. But they had two people who weren't on a list of working there without permits that are not licensed massage therapists and also conducting massage therapy.
Did you find any other violations of the Cobb Code of Ordinances during this compliance check?
There were the county ordinance violations that the business license office issued county ordinance citations for. So there was a record of treatments that they didn't have a manager or licensee on site, that the people didn't have the permits to be able to be employed there. And then, of course, I applied for and got a warrant for the state law, which is 43-24A-15 subsection F, which is allowing unlicensed massage therapy, and that was granted by a magistrate court judge.
So you obtained an arrest warrant for Ms. Yali Tian, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Did you execute that warrant on that day?
I did not. She was, I don't know if she turned herself in or she was picked up, but she had been arrested, and that criminal court case is still, it got continued. It's still awaiting.
Pending?
Yes, sir.
Detective Witt, have you done any research in your professional capacity as to the possible consequences of a health spa establishment allowing unlicensed massage therapists to administer massage therapy in their business?
Yes, sir, I have.
And can you tell me about your findings in regard to that? And I'm going to hand you a document which you had provided to me. I'm going to provide a copy to the applicant.
I have one.
You have one there?
Yes, sir.
Please tell the board what this document is.
I'd reached out to one of the massage therapy schools in the area, which this one happens to be off Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. And I asked about any possible harms that could come to an individual that's getting massage therapy service from a person who is unlicensed or not knowing what they're doing.
And can you tell us a little bit about what this letter details about potential injuries that could be suffered by a client who is receiving an unlicensed massage therapy?
Yes, sir. It was Mr. Johnson, who is the Director of Students and Career Services at the International School of Skin, Nail Care, and Massage Therapy, responded. And he put that an unlicensed or untrained person performing massage therapy can unintentionally cause a wide variety of harms. And he sent about a little over a page on just an overview that it could be musculoskeletal injuries, nerve damage, circulatory problems, spinal injuries, internal organ damage. It could exacerbate current medical conditions and could also cause psychological or emotional harm. And also we had talked about that's the reason that licensed massage therapists are required by state law to have liability insurance.
Madam Chairwoman, unless there's an objection to the applicant, I'm going to offer this letter into evidence, and I have copies for all of the board members as well. Is there any objection?
Did they see it?
They did.
That's the letter you just spoke to,
That's,
right? Oh,
I
okay.
provided them a copy as well. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Detective Witt, in conclusion, in your professional opinion, do you consider allowing unlicensed massage therapists to perform massage therapy in a business such as this to be a serious offense?
Yes, sir, because one, it's against Georgia state law. Two, they could seriously injure people. So I consider that a serious offense. If it was simply a county ordinance violation and they fixed it, we would not be here today.
Have you conducted any follow-up compliance checks on Oriental Massage since the date of that visit?
Myself, with business license, went out again in mid-December. The only person there at the time was Ms. Tan, and she was, of course, a licensed massage therapist, so we didn't have the same problem.
That's all the questions I have. I'll yield now to the applicant if she has any questions, and to the board.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you don't have any questions? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Burrow.
When this was conducted, the one visit, was that the July 23rd, 24 date?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the license renewal was March or February of this year?
The license renewals, they open up, I believe, in October for license renewal, and they can submit their application at that point.
Okay, but it was denied.
That's correct.
So, have they been operating
They
since then?
stopped operating in February after we notified them that their 2025 license had not been approved and they're not allowed to be operating. We let them know and they closed at that time. I followed up and they weren't open.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Commissioner Sheffield.
Just two follow-up questions. You mentioned that there was another therapist hiding at the location, but did you observe any other customers?
That was the only customer and she wasn't a therapist.
Okay.
Because a licensed massage therapist, they have to do the 500 hours of training, have to take a state test, all that type of stuff. So she wasn't a therapist, she was just somebody there. She also wasn't a permitted employee, which are two different things.
Right, thank you for that correction.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, you mentioned that Ms. Gal ran out of the business and you went and brought her back inside.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she indicate or did you ask her why she ran? And if so, what was her explanation?
I asked her and she said she was scared.
Did she say what she was fearful of?
No, she did not.
Okay.
When she saw me, like I said, she ran towards the back of the business or walked quickly towards the back. When I caught up with her, I told her, please go sit up front. And she nodded, started going up front. And then when she got to the vestibule area and she saw the two compliance officers, then she started to run out. Well, she's 58 years old, so she ran out the business best she could, and I caught her about halfway through the parking lot.
Okay. Do you know why or have an idea why she ran to the back first?
Well, I'm guessing she was attempting to go out the back door first, but I caught her.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And as soon as I confronted her, she stopped. There was no resistance or anything, and that's why I just said, hey, can you go sit up front so I can make sure nobody else was there?
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Just for clarification, you stated that this one date that we have these violations that were noted was not the only time you visited the establishment. You visited the establishment on another occasion where there was an employee that was not a licensed massage therapist.
No, that was just the second time that I went was in December, when we went back out to follow up before the renewal season, before January 1st. And Ms. Tan was the only person there on that date. Therefore, she's a licensed massage therapist, so there were no violations on that date
I
because
see.
there was nobody conducting massage therapy without a license or anything else.
I see. And were there any customers there on that date? It was
There
just
were-
her, you stated?
It was just her on that date.
Okay. So all the violations that are on record were for that one particular date? Where we had
Correct.
the multiple violations?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Gamble, do you have a question?
I'm not sure if this question is for you or for Alicia, but how long have they had their license?
When they testified at the License Review Board hearing, I believe they've had the license for 7 years. I believe that's correct, but it's been some time. And at the License Review Board hearing, they asked how come, of course, they didn't have any violations prior to this. And, but of course, we said, well, we changed the ordinance in 2023, and last year, we did inspections on all the businesses. So this is the first time that I know of the business that ever been inspected. But they hadn't been inspected prior because we didn't have the ordinance that put us in the position that we are in.
And then if I recall correctly, pretty much inspections were based on complaints or observations that warranted further investigation.
That they could be, but we're able to inspect all regulated businesses. And in 2024, we inspected every single health spa in Cobb County.
Yeah. Some of the past hearings have been a result of complaints, but this was just conducting investigations or inspections throughout the county with all the health spas.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the evidence I have. Madam Chairwoman, although I do reserve the right, time permitting, to recall anybody that may be needed in order to answer any further questions. I would turn it over to the appellant at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. This is your opportunity to address the board.
Sorry, I need glasses. 我的名字叫田雅丽。My name is 田雅丽。我是东方按摩店的老板。I'm the owner of the Oriental Massage. 然后我和我的丈夫通常一起在这家店里工作。So most of the time, me and my husband work in that store. 我们很少就是根据需要会聘请兼职人员。So we rarely hire any part-timer unless it's really needed. 然后我和我丈夫都是有效的按摩执照。And we both, me and my husband, we both have the valid business, the massage license. 然后在2024年7月23号。On July the 23rd, 2024. 因为我已经和我的会计师约好了要去报我们的季度税。Because I have an appointment with my accountant to go and file for the quarterly tax. 然后在头一天晚上，我女儿生病了，发烧。And then the night before, my daughter has been really sick and she was having fever. 然后她就一直哭闹。And she was crying and also restless. 所以我们非常担心。And we were really worried about her. 然后我就和我丈夫决定去报完税就带她看医生。So me and my husband have decided we're gonna go together, go to see the accountant first, and then we both gonna go and take her to see the doctor afterwards. 就我们刚离开20分钟。So we only left maybe about 20 minutes. 然后店里的人就打电话。So some people, my coworker have called me from the store. 他说检查的人来了。And she told me that some officer have came. 当时我的孩子在车里面哭得很大声。 So at that time, my baby was crying really loud in the car
我都听不到电话在讲什么。
and hardly hear what the other side of the phone was talking about.
后来我听到这个警官先生他在电话里说，
So I heard the gentleman, the officer, I have overheard the conversation about the officer.
他说我们来检查了。
And he told me that we are here to do the inspection.
我一看时间，我说我20分钟赶回来，请等我一下。
So I told him I'll be back in 20 minutes. Please wait for me.
然后我就回到店里面，
Then I arrived to my store.
然后就拿到了3张罚单。
Then I got 3 citations.
然后就是一个就是我雇佣的没有执照的按摩师。
So the first one is hiring unlicensed worker.
第二个就是我不在店里面。
And the second one was the owner was not present at the premises.
第三个就是客人的签到表没有做。
And the third one is a customer did not register for the service, for the log.
我承认我对发生的违规行为负有责任。
I fully acknowledge all my responsibility for the violation that have occurred.
我对我的行为深感遗憾，
And I deeply regret my behaviors and actions for that.
并且对所犯的错误承担责任。
And I'm totally accountable for all the faults that I have committed.
我不应该雇佣没有执照的临时工。
And I should not hire any temporary worker without the license.
所以我等到警官他们走了以后，
So after the officer have left,
我就立刻叫他们离开了。
and I immediately dismissed those 2 people.
然后我保证，我知道我错了，我以后再也不会雇佣没有执照的人。
And I promise I would not hire another person that without a license.
就算是有紧急的情况，孩子生病，我们没有时间，我会把门关一段时间，我会把门关几个小时。
So even though a situation like that happened, like my daughter was sick, and I have decided maybe I should go and close my business for a few hours and then come back afterwards.
然后我承诺，我以后始终我都在店里面。
And I also promise that I am there every day at all times.
而且我完全遵守所有的规定。
And I also wanted to go and comply with all the regulations and rules that was stipulated.
以前曾经我也有签到表，
And before I have logs for the customers.
但是有一些客人他不愿意配合，
But however, some of the customers do not want to cooperate.
所以我就出于对他们舒适度的考虑，
So sometimes I was considering to be more comfort for the customer.
所以我允许了这种情况发生。
Then back then, I allowed them to do that.
然后这次我收到了这个罚单之后，
So after I got a citation for the log,
我知道问题的重要性了。
and I know this is very important. It's
所
really
以
critical to keep
所以
the
现
log.
在我是复印了很多，我每一个客人，从那以后每个客人我都进行了登记。
So I have made many copies of the log, and I make sure every single customer comes in, they must sign a log and put their information there.
如果客人不愿意签名和他的信息，
If the customer refuses to go and put down the information or anything that is required on the log,
我们就拒绝为他服务。
I will refuse all the services.
然后自从去年7月份以来，
Since July of last year,
县里的官员来检查过几次，
and then the Cobb County officer came several times,
以确定我们是否遵守规定。
and they wanted to double check, make sure that we have complied with everything.
之后的几次我们都是完全遵守所有的规定。
So every time they came over afterwards, that we also complied with everything they required.
然后在最近的一次是2025年的2月21号。
The most recent day is February the 21st, 2025.
然后我收到了，就是我那个
2025年的营业执照被拒绝的信，
And I received a letter saying that my business license application was denied.
我就马上关了我的 Open 灯，没有接待任何客人。
So since that day, and I've closed my open sign, and then not have any customer coming
一直到今天。
The business still closed up until today.
我想说，我是一个非常愿意遵守法律的人。
I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I wanted to obey all the laws here.
我严格遵守所有的法律法规来经营我的业务。
And I had to go and follow all the laws to be able to operate my business, and I'm follow strictly.
所以我请求你们的理解和考虑。我在努力纠正这些问题，并确保他们不会再发生。
And as you can see that I'm really trying really hard, try to go and correct all my mistakes that have happened in the past, and I try to go and make sure that I comply with everything.
然后我参加了2025年3月13号的董事会听证会。
And I'm also here for the board review meeting for the hearing
我很
in
感
March.
激，我很感激有机会能陈述我的情况。
I really appreciate the board allow me to have opportunities to tell my side of the story.
我也很感激所有的董事会成员都理解我所面临的情况。
And I totally thank you for all the board members understand my situation.
然而在听证会上，就是后来在听证会上，
But during the hearing,
就有人提到了2015年的一份申请。
somebody had mentioned that back in 2015, the application.
因为我的店开始是2015年开始的，
So my business had been established since 2015.
所以到现在有10年。
So it has been 10 years that I've been operating.
然后当时我的前夫他在等待绿卡当中。
So at that time, my former husband was waiting for his green card application.
然后当时我不知道，就是说，申请按摩执照需要，夫妻2个人都要有绿卡或者公民。
So at that time, I did not know there's a requirement for being a residency for the United States in order to apply for the business license.
当时我是有绿卡。
I was a permanent resident already back then.
所以那一次第一次申请执照的时候，我也要参加听证会。
So at that time, I did attend for the hearing for applying for the business license.
当时就是因为我前夫的那个身份的问题。
Because my former husband's legal status.
上一次呢，就是董事会就是3月13号，董事会拒绝了我的2025年的执照。
So back then, my license was not approved. And then so March, so they did decline my application for 2025.
当时我没有机会澄清2015年的申请的细节。
I did not have a chance to go and clarify what happened back in 2015.
因为我认为可能存在误解和不完整的信息，所以影响了决定。
Maybe misunderstanding or maybe incomplete information is causing the board have denied the application.
当时2015年的时候，
Back in 2015,
我和我的前夫面临着很大的挑战。
so me and my ex-husband was facing a big challenge.
因为我的前夫他总是想回中国。
So my ex-husband wanted to go back to China, and he wanted to go back really badly sometime.
而我呢，想留在美国追求民主自由的生活。
And I wanted to stay here to pursue the freedom.
所以我们的关系比较紧张。
And also to hear the freedom living here. So that's why back then we had a very stiff relationship.
然后2015年的5月28号 ，May the 28th, 2015， 我前夫带着我们的唯一的儿子回国了。So my ex-husband had took my only child, went back to China.
Madam Chairwoman, I'm going to object to this line of questioning. This isn't relevant to the charges that are at issue today.
Thank you. I just had a clarifying, yes, it just made me question why was the license revoked? Because I think we're hearing something different, but we can ask that after this. I thought that's where this line of questioning was going, even though it still seems to be superfluous. We just ask that you limit your remarks to the license, not necessarily why she had challenges with her husband.
就不要讲太多的之前的这个事情。好。然后，当然还是有一点点关系在里面。I think it is related.
Okay.
因为我唯一的孩子回国了。So that was the only child that he had took, and then now he's back home. 所以我是没有孩子的。然后我跟现在的先生结婚以后，又生了一个孩子。So then, because of that, I felt really sad. And then now, I met my husband currently, and then also we have a child together. 这就是为什么我现在的孩子还这么小。So that's why we have a little child now.
Okay.
他现在1岁半。He's only a year and a half. Oh, she. I'm sorry. 是。当时
Well, okay, if you can relate that to this license hearing, ma'am, the information about your current husband, how does that relate to this hearing?
当天就是这小孩子生病了。就是因为我们孩子小，以前我是每天都在店，但是后来因为有了孩子，他有时生病，我实在是没办法，所以有时候我会雇佣那个临时的 part time 来做一天。So because my child was being so little, so before my baby was born, and then I was there every day at the store, and then I was doing everything by myself. But because my child is being so little, sometimes she got sick, so I'm hiring people just temporarily to help out. Why not taking her to hospital? 还有就是2023年，县里的官员也到店里来检查过一次。So at one time, back in 2023, so the officer also came to the store for the inspection. 那个时候我和我的丈夫在店里工作。At that time, me and my husband would both work there. 然后就是2024年这7月份，7月23号这一天，我因为有事情，所以我才雇佣了临时的人过来工作。So for July the 23rd, 2024, because we have something going on, and also my daughter was sick, that's why we both out, and I have hired somebody temporary. 这是唯一的一次。That's the only time. 唯一的一次，我拿了3张罚单，所以很对不起。That's the only time that I got 3 tickets, and I apologize for what I did. 我以后一定改正。So I will correct all the mistakes. 这样的事情再也不会发生。This will never happen again.
Thank you.
谢谢。Thank you.
Are you done with your testimony at this time?
希望你准许我。我希望，因为我的女儿给我生活带来了，我曾经有几年会有一些精神困扰，就是思念我的儿子。So I suffer from depression when my son have left me. 现在我的女儿对我的帮助很大，她治愈了我。So my daughter have cured me, and also she's helping me a lot. 我现在就是希望我的孩子能够在一个和平健康的环境中长大。So I'm hoping that my daughter can be living in a peaceful and also a welcoming environment.
Thank you. And thank you. Again, we have a limited time for the hearing. I know you've expressed your affection for your daughter and explained your family circumstances.
谢谢你解释这些的资料。你说希望他
You still do have about a minute and a half left.
还有1分半钟的时间。
好。
We just ask that you help us to relate back to this hearing today.
你就讲刚刚之前刚刚那个3个事情怎么样改正。
我就是我一定以后再也不会做这些，我一定改正我的所有的错误。
So I promise you I will correct all the mistakes that I had before.
以后再也不会再犯。
I would never have any occurrence like that ever.
我保证。
I promise you.
然后我希望你们理解和怜悯，让我有机会续签2025年的营业执照。
I'm asking you for mercy and also consideration and understanding, and then please approve me for my business license for 2025.
因为现在关门差不多有一个半月了。
So the business already closed like a month and a half now.
我们的家庭生活有点陷入了困境。
So we're facing some financial crisis.
因为它不仅是我的生计，也是我们全家的生活唯一生活来源。
So this is the only source of income that me and my husband have.
这也是我10年来经营的唯一的业务。
And this is the only business that I have been operating for 10 years.
所以，我们的家庭没有更多的要求。
So I do not have any other requests other than just approving this, please.
我们只是想过一个美好平静的生活。
And I wanted to live in a happy and also peaceful life.
然后又善良和正直抚养我的女儿。
And using the kindness and also the justice to go and raise my daughter.
Thank you.
我希望有一天，她能用她的技能和才华为社会做出贡献。
And I'm hoping when she grows up, she will be using her own skills to contribute the society.
然后回报这个赐予我们福祉的
Thank you.
伟大的国
We
家。
are now at the.
And I know this is a very good country that I'm living in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
所以，感谢您的理解，并希望有一个积极的结果。
I am hoping to have a positive outcome.
Thank you. This concludes your time at this point. Attorney Hemsley will ask
他现在
questions
要问你问题了，
OK。
similar to a cross-examination.
所以他现在要开始问。
I have just a few cross-examination questions, Madam Chairwoman. So you indicated that you have had this business for 10 years,
他已经
correct?
是经营了10年，对不对
是。
？Yes.
Isn't it fair to say that in 10 years, you should be expected to understand the Cobb County Code of
他
Ordinances and
10
the
年的
law
话，
of the
你应
state
该
of
知道
Georgia
说这个 Cobb County 的这些的所有的规矩了吗？
related to
我
massage
知道。
therapy businesses?
你知道吗
我知道。
？Yes, I understand.
So you understand that you cannot employ or allow
所以他说是
unlicensed
不可以
massage
去
therapists
允许任何
to
人
work
是
in your
没有
business.
没有这个按摩执照的，但是说你就是当时不是有急事的。
我是临时，就是如果当天我只是去报那个税，我一个人去报，我的先生他会在店里。
So if just happened to be that day, if I only had to go to see
That
the
wasn't my question. My
CPA.
question is, you understand you cannot do that,
我
correct?
知道，我我
Yes,
错了，以后
I
再也不会
understand.
犯
This。is my fault.
Why didn't you just close the business for the time that you
那当时
and your
为什么你
husband
跟你
had
先生
to
出去的时候
deal with
你
your
是关
daughter?
门你说现在就知道了。
我现在知道了，
I would know now. Yes.
You would know now. But why haven't you known that over the last 10
那
years?
当时10年之前的为什么不知道呢？
当时是因为我一时着急，是临时找的朋友过来帮忙。
Yeah, because it was
但我确实是错了。
it was all sudden because my daughter was sick and I know it was like a sudden thing, so that's why I have asked somebody to come and help. I know it's fault. It's my fault.
Do you understand that it is not the customer's responsibility
他说
to fill in the record of service that is required under the Cobb County
你
Code?
知道吗？是不是这个客人的这个责任去把这个资料去填写的？
哦，我知道，
Yes.
应该由我来监督。
Your
Yes, I will be
responsibility.
supervising it.
The business, whoever is on site, the manager, you,
经理要去负责去
the massage therapist,
知道吗？
they have to fill in the
所以他们要去
information on the
填
record
资
of
料就
service.
说店里面的人去要填。
知道了。
Yes.
Ms. Tian, do you intend to sell this business?
你是打算要去卖吗？
是的，因为我考虑到我的孩子还太小，他需要妈妈多一点时间陪伴他。
Yes, because my daughter is so little and she still need time to have mommy to be with her at all time and spending some time with her.
但是现在我的店关了差不多2个月，
So the business has been closed for 2 months.
我既要付我的房子，我住的房子的贷款，
So I need to go and pay the mortgage for the
然后我还
current property that I have.
我还要付店里所有的房租和费用。
And I also have to go and bear all the costs for the store and also the rent and
所以我
also other things.
所以我希望这个店早一点开门。
So I'm hoping that I'll be able to operate sooner once the license is approved.
Let me ask you
然后
this.
做到另外一个人他的
Let,
执照
let,
下来
let, let me ask you
Maybe
this.
let's just wait until the other person can apply for their own license.
Okay, okay. So would you agree that it's probably better for you not to own and operate this business at this point?
他说如果这样的话，是不是应该你觉得是现在就不要开业呢？你说要说，
因为他的执照，他要去跟房东签合同，然后他的执照下来，我不知道要等多久。
I am not sure that how long it's going to take for the other person to take over, how long
Okay.
the business license is going to be
我
approved,
希望
because
早
of there's also lease need to be signed and contact with the landlord.
One final question then.
最后一个问题，
Do you understand that this board, the county, their primary concern is not your financial welfare
他因为主要
or the welfare of your
不
daughter?
是考虑到你的这个财政情况，
I admire your wish to give your daughter a good life,
先给你一个
but the county has to protect the community from bad things happening in establishments such as yours.
这些人去希望他们是遵守我们的法规的。
是我理解，
Yes.
我知道，
I
That's
know.
all I have, Madam Chairwoman.
谢谢，
Thank you.
谢谢你们的帮助和耐心。
Thank you so much for your patience and listening and understanding.
Thank you. Thank you. You can be seated at this
可以
time.
坐下来，可以下来。
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm going all the way to closing, and the board did not have an opportunity to ask questions. Commissioners would like to ask questions at this time. I'll start with I was going to start with you since it's in your district, and then we can go to others.
You said you have been operating since 2015. Were there any other inspections prior to July of 24 at this location? And have you been at this location for the 10 years you've been operating?
10年都是在这个同一个地点嘛？
哎，是的，
Yes, the same location.
Okay, on Sandy Plains.
That's in the plan.
Yeah.
是的，
Yes.
And have you had any other inspections prior to July of 24?
24年7月份之前有没有任何其他的这个检查？
检查，23年检查过一次。
There was an inspection back in 23.
23? Okay. Do y'all have, well, I'll call you back up later. Okay, so,
你说就一次。
were you aware of the moratorium we had for new massage
但你现在
therapists?
是有新的这个规定，说是这个新的这个治疗师的规定，知道吗？
知道。
Yes.
And the additional conditions in the code
其他的这
after
些
that moratorium, after we passed the code amendments?
当时有新的规定，有关这个治疗师的，新的规定是给这个按摩店，有知道吗
啊，我知道。
？Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioners, any of you have any other questions?
Yeah.
Please, Commissioner Gamble.
We usually go down the line.
No, it goes,
It's
it
okay,
bounces.
it's okay. So have you always done business as Oriental Massage, or have you changed your business name since 2015?
有没有换名字
就是这个名字。
？This is the only name.
Thank you.
Say
Commissioner
yes.
Sheffield?
Oh, you done?
Yeah, just a few clarifying questions. Alicia shared at the top of her testimony, I believe, or her statements, that there were multiple violations, including allowing a non-Georgia state license. My question to the applicant is, does she carry a Georgia state-issued license?
Yes.
Yes.
She does, okay. For the two employees, Ms. Gao and Ms. Zhang, how long were they employed at the business?
新高跟正当时请了他们做多长时间？
他们都是临时请了一天，我有事才会叫他，临时会找他来。
That was only a temporary one day.
我有事。
Only when I have some issues.
Okay. So they were employed for one day, and based on her testimony, her child felt ill. Was it at that point she called them to come in? I'm trying to create a timeline.
所以临时叫他们进来了嘛，对吧？
有一个是。
I only called one.
一个是有65岁，她退休了。
So the other lady was 65 years old. She was already retired.
Okay.
另外一个的话。
So then my question is, if she was leaving and, you know, the code requires someone to be a licensed therapist, then my question is, why call two individuals that are not licensed therapists?
因为按摩行业竞争非常大，然后如果我关门的话，我的客人会越来越少，因为我的店不是太忙。
Yeah, because my store is not that busy. I know it's a very keen competition for the massage place. So if I close it, I'm losing my customers.
但是我现在知道我错了。
I know it's my fault. I will close my business if something happened just like that again.
Were there any instructions that she gave to Ms. Gao and Ms. Zhang with respect to her absence if any customers were to come into the store for
那当
service?
时就说，如果比如说如果客人来要找你的话呢，你有没有跟这个姓高的或者姓郑的说，怎么样去跟客人讲？
怎么跟客人讲啊？
What do you mean by that?
Well, if she's aware that they were not licensed therapists and she left them there and the business was open, the assumption is that a customer could walk in during her absence. So my question is, did she leave instructions for the women on how to handle any customers that would arrive during her absence?
怎么样跟他们讲？因为你不在嘛。
I know, I just want to know what you...
因为他自己会接待，而且我很快就会回来，我大概中午就回来了。
Yeah, because I did not anticipate I'm gonna leave long, so that's why I was hoping that they can just greet the customer and maybe have them to wait.
Okay, but did she give specific instructions for that is what I'm trying to...
只是教他们怎么样去接待客人呢，或者怎么样？
我也只是在网上就是说招临时的，这个怎么说呢？我会交代一下吧，来了客人。
I will tell them briefly because those are temporary people.
Okay. All right. There was also testimony that there is an interest to sell the business. Is there an anticipated buyer that you're currently working with or negotiating?
当时他那个法官说，这个律师说你要打算要去卖你的业务，是不是？
是的。
Yes.
Okay, so she's currently working with a potential buyer for her business.
现在已经是跟这个有想要买店的人去在协商，是不是？
是的，我希望我的店保持开放，就是 open 状态。
Yes, but I'm still hope that my business can be still open while I was going through the negotiation. So in that case, I can still work and make some money.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions?
Okay, I do have some questions. How many times has your business been inspected by Cobb County?
他总共是 Cobb County 来了多少次？一共前后，包括之后跟之前。
你是说来检查的人？你问一下。
Can you clarify a little bit?
Yes, do you know what dates or years your business has been inspected by Cobb County?
Cobb County 哪一年哪一个月份有进来过？前前后后讲给他听。23年一次。
23年大概7月份一次，23年。
So that was July of 2023.
然后24年可能有3次吧。
In 2024, maybe 3 times.
Maybe 7月份、
July,
9月份、12月。
September, December.
然后25年就是2月。
July, September, December.
And also February of 2025.
In February, okay. And I will call Alicia back up because I thought I heard something different. I think you stated, and what I see here is that these incidents all happened on one date. Then there was another follow-up where you were present and there were no violations.
之后他们又过来之后，就没有任何的这个。
But I'm hearing from you that somehow there were other inspections outside of those 2 inspections.
哦，因为我没有记录下来。
I did not write down the date.
我只是估计。
Okay, it's okay. I'm just looking again for kind of a number comparison that, because you couldn't answer the dates, I mean, the number, when I asked you initially, I asked you for dates. Really, I'm just trying to understand if this is a pattern, if this is one day. But I can't tell just by having those 2 dates. So I'm asking what happened on those other inspection dates, but I don't know if I'm getting any more clarity.
我就只有那一次有罚单，我那天不在店，
So
其
that
他
was-
的时候都是好的。
So that was only one time that I have gotten citation. All the other times I had never gotten any.
Understood.
所以我希望你们
That's why
帮助我们，
That's why I'm
帮助我们的
hoping
家庭。
you can help my family.
Our desire, yes, our desire is to keep the county safe. We also want to be a county that was welcoming to
像
business.
我们这边的这个 county 来说呢
So-
是安全的，所以也是维护我们Cobb County 的这些业务。
I am listening
我
to
现在在听你讲
your side and trying
讲你
to
这边的
balance
事情，
our work
做一些的平衡，看一下我们怎么样去做这个决定，
in keeping the county safe.
使到我们的 county 来说呢是安全的。
And right now, all I have before me is one day where you have a number of
一
violations.
天来说呢有几个不同的罚单。
就是那一天有3个罚单。
Yeah, I have 3 in that day.
Yeah, and, well, there's not necessarily 6 because not necessarily 6 were given. Even though there's 6 there's 6 code references, but that doesn't mean they all resulted in a citation
那总
here.
共是6个。
I'm sorry, I'm talking to the commissioner. I'm trying to understand the weight of what happened that day because I can't infer, I can't infer whether or not this is recurring. So I'm looking at I'm looking at what you're telling me about this day, and I'm kind of testing its truthfulness.
看是不是你的所讲话的真实性。
And I'll just be frank, it's difficult to perceive
因为现在是很困难去
that you know your daughter is ill perhaps
知道
that
你的女儿
day,
是生病了，
and that there are 2 people that come
但是呢
in.
你找了2个人是没有。
You call one person, I don't know how the second person gets there.
但你
You
是只是
contact
叫
one
一个人进
person
来，但是为另外
that
为
comes
什么
in.
另外一个人有进来？
我想讲一下。
Can I tell you?
就是不能。
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
你说。
就是店里不能只有1个人，所以我找了一个朋友过来。
So you have to have more than one person in the store. So
Okay.
that's why I have another friend
Okay,
coming in.
okay, I see. So one person would work perhaps, and another person would, yes. Right now, I don't know what you've instructed them, but
你怎么跟他们
I
讲？
don't know if you anticipated that they would actually give massages
是
that
当时
day?
他们想要去要去做客人，帮人家去按摩吗？还是怎么样？
因为他如果在店里，他就会为客人服务。
So if one is in the store, they have to serve the customer.
Okay, so you did anticipate they would serve the,
所以就说有人来了，就是打
The
算都是
customer.
其中一人会服务了。
是。
how do you find a temporary worker for one day?
你怎么样去找临时的？因为你
Is
说
there a
就是
temp
找
service that you
就是找
call, or is
你的
this
这个
somebody you
就
know
知
who
道的
works
人，所以
somewhere
就
else?
找了一个没知道的人跟他这么说。
我是在一个华人的网站上，那个上面有招工的。
So there's a job posting website. It's like a Chinese hosting.
然后有一个人是我的朋友，他退休了，65岁。
So there was one person, she's already retired, but she's my friend. She's 65 years old.
Okay.
是他在家，我就可以叫他来。
I know that she's home, so that's why I call her in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. What I would like to do, if other commissioners don't have any other questions, I would like to call maybe Officer DeWitt back up to help answer some questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, did I get your title correct?
It's
Detective, I'm
Detective
sorry,
Witt.
Detective. Can you help me understand, there was one day that you and your team visited the site where they received multiple citations. Then you followed up later from the July date in February for the second visit?
I went out with a business license in December.
Okay,
Business license went out to deliver a letter notifying of their denial for their 2025 license. So she is viewing anybody from Cobb County that goes as an officer, and it was the business license compliance officers in February. I wasn't there with them, but I was there with them in December. And also the state, they can also inspect the business too. So if they would have went out at some point, we're not aware of that.
okay, so you said in February there was a business license compliance officer.
Yes, they went out to go deliver their letter saying that their 2025 license was denied. So there was an actual inspection, it was just notification, and then they couldn't be open.
Okay, so the business, or the visit in December was for what purpose?
We were following up because Ms. Webb asked us to the businesses that she was looking at their licenses for possible denial of the renewals, for us to follow up on those businesses. So we made attempts to visit every single one of those businesses that had problems in 2024.
Okay, so when you visited them, they had a problem the first time and they got the 3 citations in July,
And the warrant for the owner for the allowing unlicensed massage therapy.
and there was a warrant
Yes, ma'am.
for the owner. Okay, so you come back in December.
And she was the only person there, and there was no customers on site. So the main issue was the allowing unlicensed massage therapy. And she's a licensed massage therapy, so that was an issue. And there were no customers that day. And we looked at her record of treatments, but we didn't know if she had customers that day or not. So we don't know if that was filled out or not correctly. We
In
assume it
December,
was.
you don't,
No,
but you
but-
did look and see that there
Yes,
was
we
the
look
log
at, there is a record, but we don't know if it's a true accounting of what they've seen or not, but we're assuming it is.
Yeah, so there was nothing that prompted you to have a citation in December?
Correct.
But yet, it still resulted in the license being revoked?
Yes, based on, the major issue being the allowing unlicensed massage therapy. So if a person were to apply for a business license for a health spa in Cobb County, one of the disqualifiers is conviction for that.
That's the link I'm missing?
Yes,
Okay.
it's for anything with that. Now, her criminal case is still working through the system.
So she wasn't convicted, there was
She's
just the
not been
warrant?
convicted yet, but she still, I believe we're waiting on, I believe it may be later on this month or next month that we'll have that. There was that's been going through the system still.
Okay, maybe I'll ask Alicia the next question. I have been following up.
Yes, ma'am.
Does anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
Would that be from the state license, the conviction?
No, that's on her, that's a criminal charge. That's a misdemeanor charge that she would be convicted of that. But if we were to have a new licensee apply for a business, if they have that conviction on their record, they will be denied that based on that criminal history.
Okay, so what are these here, what is our hearing?
It is
To
for
do.
allowing her to, for her renewal of her
Operate.
2025 license. It was denied based on the offenses, and the major one being the allowing unlicensed massage therapy, and there's probable cause enough for a judge to sign off on a warrant for arrest for that, although we're still waiting on a conviction
Okay,
for that.
I got you.
Or the court to hear that.
So she stated she's been operating for 10 years, since 2015. And all we have in the book is the July 24th inspection. But did we have any other inspections? And maybe Alicia's coming up for that. But in 2023, she stated there was one in 2023, but that could have been a state law,
It could have been the state, but our, if you remember, our ordinances weren't even codified until July of 2023.
Okay.
So
That's what I
we didn't even start until after that point of going in and starting, and I started on Canton Road, actually, is where I started doing my inspection, so I wasn't near there.
Okay. So that's the only business in the 10 years, the only inspection that we have done for her
Yes,
business.
that is
for this
correct,
business.
but prior to 2023, my office had never inspected any of the health spa establishments.
Because we didn't have code.
Because we didn't have
Right.
code, that's correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Follow-up question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I recall when we were doing the code amendments, did you follow up with businesses to let them know of the code changes?
Yes, I had sent an email myself out to every single businesses that we had on record through email, and then the business license upon a renewal had also sent out that there would be inspections and the notifications. And then on this recent round that we had made changes to the ordinance, business license also notified them and had sent it out at renewal.
Sent it out?
Sent it out at renewal time, so at the beginning of the year, so we've.
That's via mail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Quick question. How would an approval, denial, or a suspension weigh in on, if at all, with the conviction? I'm just trying to tie those two pieces together.
So in our ordinance, one of the denial reasons would be a conviction of several things, and unlicensed massage therapy is one of those things. Being that she has not been convicted yet, it could not be denied upon renewal because she hasn't had a conviction. She's still awaiting court, even though it occurred in July.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a line of questions about that, but I think it might be better fit for Alicia. Yeah, so,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, unless anybody else has any questions for the detective. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, yes. Can you help me understand, was their license not renewed for 2024?
Yes, so a couple of things just for clarification.
Okay.
Commissioner Burrow asked about the state license. I just want to make sure that we're clear when we're talking about a state license, we're talking about their state massage therapy license, right? That if the Secretary of State's office could act on that. But what it's talking about is a ticket that's still stuck in state court waiting for their court date. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that because I felt like there was a little bit of confusion. No, their license was renewed in 2024.
It was renewed for this year.
Well, they've submitted their application to my office for renewal. And we went back and forth about this for quite some time. We spoke to Bill and Sam, but because the code says it shall be, let me see, in addition to calls for denial, suspension, or revocation of a license, and then it goes into the applicant, those denial reasons are the reasons that we denied this. And although they were in July of 24, that was the basis of the denial for 2025. So they submitted their application, or renewal application, to my office. We reviewed it. In the meantime, they did operate until February 21st because they had not been notified by the county until February 21st that based on these violations, their 2025 license was denied.
Okay, so you did not renew based on the violations found on July 23rd, 2024?
Those were the grounds for denial of 2025.
Okay, so then when there is a follow-up visit and there are no violations, what impact does that have? on
They
the-
have no violations. We'd still just go forward on
On
the
the
July.
prior-
Mhm.
So. I
And
guess
again, we
that's
went
a-
back and forth on this, but because
That's
the
a
code,
concern to
the way
me.
it's written,
That's a concern. So if there's a business that has a violation, they come back, there's no violation, what's the purpose of the follow-up visit?
to ensure that they are in compliance.
And she was in compliance on that date. So I don't understand. I don't understand if there's a follow-up visit, they're found to be in compliance, what's the purpose of the follow-up visit? What impact does that have in consideration of their renewal?
It doesn't, we still have to deny it based on the way the code's written because they did have those violations.
Okay, so once, what I'm hearing then is, once there are violations, the code is requiring that there is no renewal when there are violations, even when those violations have been found to not be recurring violations.
Correct.
On a follow-up visit. Okay. Okay. I see two hands. I don't know who to go to first. If you want to defer, yeah.
So it's my understanding from Detective Witt's testimony, when he went back in December, she was the only one there, and she is licensed.
Correct.
So she was in compliance with that previous violation.
Yes.
But there were no other licensed therapists or employees there or customers. So how do we know she was in compliance and the temporary people weren't still coming in or without a license? We don't.
We don't.
And I believe he said he looked at the record, but there were no customers for that day.
Correct. My
But-
understanding is there was no documentation or log or sign-in sheet from any customers on that specific day.
So with the other violations from July of '24, there were several.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do know that she was on site, which is required.
In
and
December,
has a
yes.
license in
Yes.
December. But that's the only one we can confirm.
Yes.
Mr. Gamble, do you still have your questions?
No, Commissioner Burrell essentially asked the questions that I was inquiring about. But just to kind of elaborate, again, when Detective DeWitt goes in to make these inspections, they're not announced, correct?
No, absolutely not.
So essentially, they just show up and do the inspection. So the day that he showed up for the inspection, my understanding, there were no clients scheduled. There was no one in the business at that day. So the real test to say if they have come into compliance is to go back on a day when there is active business and there's clientele in the room or in the business. Because one thing, and I don't know if we need to say this back to the applicant, or if you can tell from your records, but when they hire somebody, they're supposed to be documented with our police department, and then they issue a permit. So my question is how many times has she obtained permits? Because we've had testimony that it's only she and her husband that do massages. So how many permits have been issued to this business for other employees?
At the site visit in July, the 2 employees that were there did not have the permits that were the police department permits for a health spa. And looking at Sergeant Formato, there's not been any permits issued to this business that are recorded to have employees at this business.
And where my challenge is we had testimony from the Oriental Massage that they knew the law, and they've known the law for 10 years. And so having your massage therapist, again, having a permit through the county, that has been in the law. So if she knew the law, she knew that had to be part of the process for that date. Even if it was just a last-minute emergency issue, she knew the law. She knew that it was required to have a permit, but we don't have any permits on record for her for any employees.
That's my understanding, yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Sheffield?
Quick question. Can you confirm, or the detective confirm, the time of day he visited the location where he observed that there were no violations?
Between noon and 1 per Detective Witt.
Okay.
I'm going to go back and ask some questions again. Do you have record, Alicia, that this business has been in business since 2015?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, and Alicia, when were the codes adopted for massage parlors in our code?
We've had a code for quite some time, but there were amendments in 2022. It kind of added some more teeth to our code with the requirement of the health spa permits, and that's what Detective Witt was talking about, that all of the health spas in the county were notified of those new requirements back then. The code was updated in 22 and again this past year in November, October, November.
I'm just weighing what's in front of me here today, and I'm presuming that that we're looking at the totality of the evidence or circumstances. So I have a business that's been in business for 10 years. I have one date of multiple violations. I have a follow-up visit where there are no violations. So to me, everything hinges on that one day, which means that that becomes the center of what we are looking at, is how egregious what happened on that one day, and is it so egregious that it outweighs a business operating in this community for 10 years? I've been to many massage parlors where you don't have to schedule. You can just walk in and they might have a busy day or a less busy day. So, using that second follow-up visit to offset or to not offset what happened in July because there were no customers there, I think is unfairly penalizing this business. Now, I'm not saying nothing shady happened on this day, which is why I think it boils down to the veracity of the testimony on that day. And unfortunately, I do still have some questions. I find it difficult to perceive that a temporary person's being called in at the last minute without direction, but I'm also have some other questions that I'm trying to just balance all of this to see, is what happened on this day, is it so egregious that it's repetitive? And we found that at least there's no evidence that is in front of us today that shows it's repetitive beyond it occurring after she stated she wanted to correct it. So now I'm looking at what happened on that day and looking at how egregious that was. And I don't know if we should hinge everything on that one day because we have so many licenses that come before us. I've sat when we used to do many alcohol license hearings, many taxi cab driver hearings, and I'm trying to assess, is it something that takes place on one day without, any evidence that there's just egregious behavior throughout? Does that warrant not giving somebody the opportunity to continue their business who's been in operation for 10 years? And I'm hearing from you that even if there's a follow-up visit and there's no evidence that there has been continuing bad behavior, that there's sufficient evidence on that one day to just pull the license. So maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's the standard moving forward. I don't know. Just, I don't know. I do not know. Did the matter of her having a warrant, how does that, I've heard the detective share that in his testimony. Did that weigh in her business license being
Absolutely, that was one of the reasons for the grounds for denial. And as she is a state licensed massage therapist, allowing unlicensed therapists to operate her business in her absence.
That means that anybody that has a violation, then, I guess what I'm hearing, we crafted a code in such a way that anybody that has any violation is going to lose their license. Because there is grounds for warrant as soon as somebody's, yes, I'm hearing, that's what I'm just trying to connect the dots, and it just seems like once it happens, the license
Our
is
code
gone.
section 78-300 says that any violation of this chapter shall subject the licensee to revocation, suspension, or probation of its license.
It seems almost administrative, so I'm wondering why we're even here. Because if they're telling me that's the ground for not issuing the license, I just don't understand the purpose of the hearing.
The license review, I'm sorry, the license review board denied the agreed with Alicia's decision to deny the application, and the licensee is appealing. That's why we're here today. This is an appeal hearing.
If I may, Madam Chairwoman, to answer your question, the license applicant always has a right of appeal in any administrative decision that the county may make. So that's why we're here. They do have that right to appeal.
Okay.
I want to, maybe this will help clarify a little bit. The reason they do the follow-up compliance checks is not to find exculpatory evidence for the original violations. It's to make sure they're not still doing it, and also to determine if there is any aggravating or mitigating circumstances that could be presented, which she has done at the hearing of an appeal that she has asked for. So just because they found no violations on a different day, under different conditions, under different situations, doesn't relieve them of the culpability of what happened the first time. And I'll address some of this in my closing, but I think there's some frustration, and I get it, about the process here.
There is, just because I've been in too many hearings where, we do weigh into consideration someone's ability to correct a matter. And what I'm perceiving here by the way the code is written and by this hearing is that irrespective of correction or irrespective of improvement, that there is going to be, there's going to be denial of that license. So I just...
Well, we also have to differentiate between the code section that Ms. Blair cited. That's for a show cause hearing for a revocation, suspension, or probation of a license.
Okay.
The hearing today is whether or not to renew the license for the current year. So it's a different standard.
Okay.
There's some similar standards to it, but we're looking at a different situation where, based on their performance in the previous year, this board, you can give whatever weight you want to the second visit, to any follow-up compliance checks, et cetera. Just as you've stated, does that outweigh the seriousness of the violations in the first place? And again, I'll address that in my closing.
Procedurally, and maybe I'm just trying to understand procedurally, so if she is not having her permit renewed for this year, she can come back and apply for the next year.
If this is denied, she has to wait 12 months to reapply.
All right. Okay. Yes, Commissioner Gamble.
So when would that 12 months begin? From the appeal date or from the date that you originally denied?
From the official denial. If this board denied today, the clock would start ticking today.
Commissioner Brown.
But she also stated that she is trying to sell the business. So if this is denied and a new owner apply, can a new owner apply, or do they have to wait the 12 months?
No, a new owner can apply.
At any time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
And my understanding is that's what she's working on.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing precludes a new owner operating under the same name or...
Ma'am,
same
I didn't hear you.
Okay, can a new owner operate that same business just with the new owner?
If they purchase the corporate entity and all of the assets inside the business, they can
Yeah.
very well operate as the same name, yes.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, are there any other questions? Okay. We're ready for closing. Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Does the applicant have a closing statement that she would like to make? Okay, please keep it brief, because you've already made an appeal.
Excuse me, Deborah, is there a time clock on the closing?
You have 15 minutes total.
Including the
And
closing.
Both of them have,
Exhausted their time?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, I don't know if you heard, typically for our hearings, there are 15 minutes allotted for both sides for testimony and also for the closing. Both sides, you and Attorney Hemsley, have met your time limit, so we just ask that you keep your closing short so we can somewhat adhere to these 15-minute time frame.
Chair, I could set a timer if the board would prefer that a timer be set for a certain period.
I think we'd be amenable, because that way we can give them both the same amount of time. That's less subjective.
And what is that time period?
That's a good question.
Give me just a second here.
开始了是吧？
No, she has an interpreter, so that limits her time.
我可以说吗？
Can I start?
I would, yes, I would ask that we give her 5 minutes, and like she said, she has an interpreter, that takes time.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
因为我和我先生，我们一直都是遵守法律的人，
So me and my husband, we're being law-abiding citizens.
所以我们都是有按摩执照
So
的。
you can see that we both have the massage therapist license.
我虽然我这个店现在我希望把它卖了，
So even though I'm still trying to think about selling my business,
多一点时间陪伴家人，
and I wanted to have more time to spend time with the family,
但是我还是希望我的店现在能够，希望我的店现在早一点开放，
so I'm still hoping that I can get a license, I can operate.
所以我可以补贴一下我的家里。
So at least I have some income for my family.
这1个多月我的压力非常大，
So for the past month and half, so I have a very burden for the financial crisis.
所以我就希望你们能给我一个机会，
So I'm hoping that you will give me an opportunity,
让我能够继续。
allow me to continue my operation.
所以以后我再也不会犯任何的错误。
So I promise you I will never have the same mistake again.
我保证。
I promise you.
我说完了。
That's all I have to say.
还有那个
one more
那个
thing.
那个逮捕证是吧？
You guys have
逮捕
mentioned
令。
about the warrant? Or the officer mentioned about it?
我已经去过了。
I already reported the police officer.
I'm sorry, I'm not, I'm not
那
understanding.
就结束了。
Oh, that's okay. I don't want to confuse you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and I will be brief because I know we've been at this for quite a while. I do want to make a few points. First of all, it's important to make the distinction between what we're addressing today. That is the business license for this massage establishment, Oriental Massage. It does not have anything to do with her personal massage therapy license issued by the state of Georgia. If she were denied renewal today, she could go tomorrow. She could go this afternoon and get hired on by another legitimate massage therapy business and gain employment. So it's important to make the distinction between the two. Briefly, first, I want to point out, and you probably are already aware of this, that the Business License Division of Cobb County and the Cobb County Police Department Regulatory Services and Permits Unit was recognized last week by the Police Department receiving a Chief's Award for their work specifically in regard to what are called IMBs, illicit massage businesses, mostly in the realm of human trafficking. She is not accused of any such offense. That the point being, these folks work tirelessly and skillfully in a nationally recognized way to combat this problem. And it is a problem. And I understand the frustration with trying to balance the competing considerations here. But make no mistake, and Detective Witt emphasized this, that hiring non-licensed massage therapists knowingly and willfully in violation of the Cobb County Code from somebody who's been in business for 10 years and ought to know better is a serious offense. Can result in injury to the public, can result of all kinds of bad outcomes. And that's why the warrant was taken out, why she faces pending criminal charges for doing that. So it's important to remember that. We're hearing what she promises to do in the future. After 10 years in the business, now, because she got caught, she's going to correct the problems. And maybe she did correct some of those problems, or they simply weren't in effect, in evidence at the second follow-up visit that Detective Witt made. We don't know. In my experience, the fact that the very first time Detective Witt goes out to inspect this establishment, he finds all these violations, including one of the most basic requirements of running a business like this. You don't have licensed massage therapists in your establishment. Nobody's there but people who are not legally allowed to do this. So I can assure you, I feel confident that this has happened in the past, and we are just now uncovering it. That's just my personal opinion. I'm making argument here, but I've seen this pattern before. As Detective Witt said, the consequences are potentially serious. We have to keep that in mind. I was sincere when I said I'm very pleased that she wants to give her daughter a better life. She's faced some challenges, loves living in this country.
I'm sorry, your time has run, Mr. Hensley.
And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Turn it over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you. So well, first of all, the applicant is charged with some very serious violations, and all within the same day. And there are grave concerns for our board and the community. So, I know it has been stated from Detective Witt and counsel, having been in business for 10 years, and this being one-day inspection and multiple violations, and being advised of the code amendments for health spas or massage parlors, and also the current rules and regulations from the county, in addition to whatever the state law requires. Not being present. I understand family comes first and your daughter being sick, but you also said you had an appointment with your accountant for your taxes or personal matters, and left people or called in people to your store without licenses. So there were several violations, and then follow up in December. Yes, you are licensed, you and your husband, and you were present. But there are other violations that we can't say were corrected or weren't corrected. And I just think this is very serious, and I would make a motion or recommend that we uphold the business license, administrative denial, and also the LRB's recommendation for denial.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes. Is there any further discussion? Yep. I echo the sentiments of Commissioner Burrow. I would say that if, in the second follow-up visit, at least there was a licensee that was on site. I think the nuances of that day make it difficult to know how many violations had occurred in the past with respect to having a record on site and to having persons who did not have a proper massage therapy license. I don't know if, it's hard to perceive that you presented enough evidence to overcome those concerns today, even though we hear your heart in wanting to do better by your business. I didn't know if there were additional follow-up visits, but there was the one visit, and that was not adequate to substantiate that there were not egregious violations in the other matters. So I'm willing to support the commissioner. I commend you in having a business. I hope that you still have opportunity to practice in accordance with the law. And certainly we wish you and your family the best, but I do concur with the commissioner here today. And know that, as was stated, there's opportunity to reapply should you desire within a year. Yeah. I don't know if there's any other comments. With that, I'll call the question. The motion carries 4-0, commissioners. Thank you. Our meeting is now adjourned. You're